A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Well, Jane Ace has gone in for social welfare work with a group of women who are opposing the city's buying a certain piece of property for a housing program. Jane doesn't know it, but this is the exact property Mr. Ace has bought an option on with everything he possesses. No one knows of this deal but Mr. Marsh, who told Mr. Ace not to mind the agitation the women would start against this property. This episode is in two scenes, the Aces' bungalow and the newspaper office. But first to the Aces. Mr. Ace is alone. Marge enters from the next room. Listen.
Well, what are you dressed up for? Where are you going?
I'm not dressed up. I've got a hat and coat on. I'm taking Jane over to see Neal.
Over to see Neal? At this time of night?
It's only a little after 8. He works nights this week.
But what is she going over there for? What's the idea?
What's she going over there for? Didn't you hear her all through dinner?
Well, yes, I knew she was raving about something. I didn't have my mind on it.
I noticed that. What's the matter with you?
Nothing. What do you mean?
You look miles away. What is it, business?
Well, I don't mean to. I am in the middle of this big deal.
Oh, that big deal you mentioned the other day? Just what is it?
Well, this is a big deal. I can't say.
Oh, secret?
Well, I don't want anything to go wrong.
Well, is anything going wrong? You look kind of worried.
No, nothing's wrong.
What do you mean?
Well, I've gone into hock with everything I own. I needed all the cash I could get. I've put it all up on this one deal.
Not everything.
Yes, everything.
Well.
Now, you can see why I don't sit around listening to what Jane's spouting all through dinner.
Yes, that is quite a... Well, how about Jane? Does she know that you went for something this big?
Oh, sure. I wouldn't strip myself down to nothing without talking to her in advance. I had a heart-to-heart talk with her about it. She knows it's taking everything we've got. I told her exactly how it stood, that there was hardly a small chance even of anything going wrong, and I stood to make a great deal of money.
How much is a great deal?
$25,000.
$25,000?
That's right.
Well, congratulations.
Not yet. Don't start that now. I'm sitting here with my fingers crossed, and you're starting to congratulate.
Do you mean if the deal goes through, you make all that money, and if it doesn't, you're wiped out? Is that it?
That's it.
No wonder you're in a trance. How long will it be before you know?
I don't know. Maybe a week. Doesn't happen overnight, you know.
A week?
Yeah, I'll probably age 2 years before this is over.
Oh, is this the deal Mr. Neals put you next to, the one you hinted about?
Yes, this is one.
Oh, I hope he realizes what'll happen to you if it doesn't pan out.
I'd rather not think about that.
Oh, I don't blame you.
I tell you, there's every chance that it's coming out all right.
But still, just a tiny little chance.
That's about all, just a tiny little chance.
I'm all ready, Marge. Oh, okay, Jen. Is the car in front here or in the garage?
The car? Who's going?
Now, don't start that. You said it was okay for us to drive down.
I said
now
it.
he's going to start saying he didn't say it. I knew the minute I get
Well,
dressed.
when was this? A dinner that I said you could
Yes, what's the matter with you, dear? Didn't you hear what I was saying? I can't make heads or shoulders of what you're
Well, I
saying.
didn't follow exactly what you said.
Didn't you hear me say that they put me on the publicity committee? I have to get things in the newspaper about our club, and I was going to tell the city a thing or two about building houses down there by that railroad track.
Oh, you're on the newspaper.
Yes, and you should have heard the way one woman there didn't want me to be on the committee. She said, what do you know about newspapers? Well, I said, we take them, I said.
You said, well, that's quite an argument in favor.
Well, it was the worst argument I ever had. She didn't want me on it. I was so mad I said, well, if I'd only thought of telling her that I know Neal Williams, and he's a reporter on the Post.
Oh, why didn't you think of that at the time, Jane? That would have stopped that old busybody.
Well, I just didn't. I can think of more things I should have said after I go to bed. I guess it was because I was so mad, the way she kept
And you're in charge of the publicity.
Yeah.
Well,
They said they want me to get newspapers to print a lot of things about how we're trying to make the city build the houses someplace else. Because it is awful to build houses down by some old railroad tracks. Just because they're poor people, they can live in some nice place, can't they?
well, yes, I guess they...
Yes, I should say they can.
But there's nothing you can do about that, Jane. After all, the city's mind isn't made up by a group of women who...
Oh, no? Well, you should hear us at the club. We're mad about this. We're going to make the city build these homes someplace else.
Oh, but you can't do anything
All right, you just wait and see. The laugh will be on the other foot.
Oh.
And that's what I'm going to talk to Neil about tonight. I'm going to get him to write something for the paper about it and let everybody see what the city's trying to do to those poor people. And let them put that under their hat and pocket.
You've gone into social welfare work with a vengeance.
Well, I'm mad. I'm mad at that Mrs. Block. That was the one who didn't want me to be on the committee. And I'm mad at the city, too. I can't wait to do something. I'm on pins and cushions. Come on, Marge, let's hurry.
Right with you, Captain.
Goodbye, dear. We'll be back in an hour or so.
Well, it's longer than that, Jane. It's half an hour's drive down there and half an hour back, and then you're going to have a talk to Neil.
Well, we'll be back when we come back. And don't be lonesome, dear. Dear.
What?
I say don't be lonesome. What's the matter with you? Don't you feel well?
No, yes, that's it. I ate too much, I guess.
Well, take some by chloride. Read the paper or something. Turn on the radio if you
I'll
want
be
to.
all right. Drive carefully. Now, you better drive, Marge.
I'm going to. Don't worry. If I can move James, you thought we see that all the way downtown.
Goodbye, dear.
Goodbye,
Oh,
Jane.
here's the call, Jane.
May I speak to Mr. Marsh, please? Yes, this is Mr. H. Thank you. Hello, Mr. Marsh. Listen, Mr. Marsh, my wife was just telling me that she was at this meeting this afternoon, and the women were, well, it's well enough to say don't worry, but if they're really going to fill the newspapers with stuff about, yes, I think maybe if I told her that this was a property that well, there's nobody here. I can talk. Oh, not over the phone. Oh, you mean somebody might be in? Oh, yes, I get you, Mr. Marsh. I'm sorry I called you about this, but I just felt kind of funny standing here listening to my own wife making a speech against this deal. I guess I just want to be reassured that everything's going to come out all right in spite of all this.
Well, there's a deputy making money.
Marge.
I brought a visitor.
Jane.
Hello, Neil.
Hi, Jane.
Just fine.
Well, these drab surroundings certainly lit up all of a sudden. Here, let me make room for you on these chairs.
Now, don't be putting on company manners with us.
Well, you can be comfortable. Here, let me take those papers out of that chair. Gee, I wish I'd known you were coming.
Oh, I suppose you'd have done the vacuum over the room, huh?
Sure. Sit down, Jane.
Thank you. Were you writing something important?
Well, the boss might have other ideas about it, but...
Well, we're here to give you something really important to write about.
Really? What?
You just pull out that, whatever you're writing, out of that sheet and start on this.
What is it? What's going on here?
Well, Neil, I want you to write something for me and print it in the paper.
Oh, I see. Well, the society editor is 2 doors down
This
before.
is no social item, my friend. This is vital.
Let me tell you, Mark.
Yeah, let Jane tell it. What is it, Jane?
Well, I'm on the committee to get something in the paper about our club.
Well?
Yes, it's about those Old Testament houses that the poor people live in.
What's that?
No, those awful places they live in. Well, the city's going to build some new homes for them.
Yeah, I know about that.
Yes, but what you don't know is where they're going to build the homes.
Well, I think I do know, Jane.
You do?
Well, yes, I know the city's considering buying a square block down on the other side of the railroad track.
See, that's what I mean. Why should they live there? Why can't they live where it's nice and clean and cool in the summer and vice versa?
Why?
What?
I don't know. Why can't they?
Oh, they can. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We don't want to build the houses down there. We want a nice, clean place.
Oh, we do. And who are we?
Our club.
Jane's gone in for social welfare work. It's the social betterment group.
What?
Yes.
Don't tell me you belong to that snooty outfit.
It is not. They're very nice.
But that outfit's made up of the blue bloods of this town. All the ultra.
Jane's a member of that group, I'll have you know.
No, Jane.
Yes, I am.
I can't believe it.
Well, why not? I can be just as ultra blue as they can.
She certainly does belong to you. She got into Mrs. Marsh.
Mrs. Marsh, really?
Yes, she and I are just like that.
Oh, just like...
That's right, Neil. They're just like that.
Well, now that I've gotten over that surprise, now what about the rest of this talk about...
Just what I told you. I'm on the committee that has to get things in the paper, and I want you to do it for me. Will you?
Well, what do you want me to do, Jane? After all, I might as well tell you this secret, Jane. I really don't own this paper.
Oh, why, the way you talked to me, it sounded as if you did.
I knew I'd be caught. I really only work here. I might as well confess.
Well, this is a shock to me, Neil Williams.
Forgive me, Marge.
Never.
What's going on here? I knew you didn't own this paper. Marge, you didn't think that he owned it.
Hey, you see, Marge, you knew it all along.
Oh, just kidding, huh? Well, this is no time to laugh. This is serious. And I have to get things in the paper or they're not going to let me be on the committee anymore.
We're giving Jan a tryout on this work.
Oh, I see.
Will you do it, Neil?
Well, exactly what do you want me to,
Well, the lady wants our public sentiment. There's been a surprising little amount of newspaper reading on this project.
Yes, I have it that.
So how about it?
It might not be a bad idea at that. News is kind of scarce these days, as local news. This might be just the thing to wake us up. I know there's no love between this paper and that gang down at City Hall.
That's fine. Then you're going to do it?
Well, if it's going to be done at all, it ought to be smeared all over the paper. I know that. Because when you start agitation of this kind... Oh, wait a minute. Let me get the city editor on the phone. Hello, give me the desk, please.
Saxon for you, Jan.
Who's he calling?
This is Williams. Yeah. Say, I got a lead that the women's clubs are going to oppose this new housing project location. Not a big name. Well, like Mrs. Tom Marsh, for instance.
That's not about me.
Okay, I'll be right in. There you are. He sounds interested.
You think he'll do it?
Well, I'll make a little bet he will.
All right.
Bet $1, Jane.
$1? Oh, no. I don't want to bet money. I might lose.
Okay, we'll make it a mind bet.
A mind bet? All right. Oh, I hope I don't lose my mind.
I hope so, too.
Well, it's beginning to look more and more like a bad bet for Mr. Ace all around. We'll learn more about it when next we meet the Easy Aces.
This is Nightline, your open door to people and places, and this is Walter O'Keefe. Nightline invites you to listen in on NBC's award-winning science fiction series X-1. Now escape to a world of the future.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy's science fiction magazine, presents
X-1.
Tonight, At the Post by H.L. Gold. But first, hear this. In centuries past, this was the sound that used to get the news around. Yes, in centuries past, the people on one side of the hill beat the drum to share the news of the world with the people on the other side of the hill. And since the world in those days was a smaller, more easygoing world, this was enough to get the news around. Ours is a chaotic age with critical events flashing across the face of the earth. Fortunately for us, we can keep up with these events because we have at our fingertips the fastest means of communication ever devised. We have radio. And NBC Radio, with news on the hour, keeps you alerted to world events wherever they happen, as soon as they happen. From ages primitive to present, people have wanted to keep up with events. And in our day and age, this is the sound that really gets the news around. This is Leon Pearson inviting you to keep up with the news on the hour all day, every day, over most of these NBC stations. Now, X-1 and our story, At the Post.
When I come into the Blue Ribbon on 49th Street west of Broadway, I could tell right away nobody told Doc Hawkins about my misfortune. Doc, who ain't one really, writes a daily medical column for the racing form, and we're celebrating his being sprung from the alcoholic ward. He got one look at me, and he choked on a piece of gefilte fish.
What happened? What happened? Look at that. Clucker's become a character.
Now, lay off, Doc.
A gray flannel suit, a black tie. Clucker, where is your purple and green checked sports jacket? Where are your two-tone suede shoes? You've become a character.
No, it was Zelda's idea. She wanted to make a gentleman out of me.
Wanted to? Why, you two kids got married just before they took my snakes away. Don't tell me you... Already?
You don't know, Doc?
No. What happened?
Well, it was right after you tried to take the warts off the fire hydrant that Zelda started hearing voices. It got real bad.
How bad?
She's at Glendale Center upstate. I just came back from visiting her.
Did the psychiatrist give you a diagnosis?
I got it memorized. Catatonia dementia precox.
Oh, that's rough. Very rough. The outlook is never good in such cases.
Maybe they can't help her, but I will.
Now, Clocker, you're a race handicapper. You run the best tip sheet on Broadway, but people are not horses.
Those coach artists don't know what's wrong with Zelda. I do.
You do?
Sure I do. Look at these charts. Look, here. I use the same system I used to dope the races. Look, Zelda's got catatonia. She used to be a hoofer before we got married, and now she does time steps all day.
Stereotype movements are typical of catatonia.
You don't get it. She does time steps. The first thing you learn in hoofing, over and over, 10 or 15 hours a day. And she keeps talking like she's giving lessons to some jerk kid who can't get it straight. These catatonics work harder and longer at what they're doing than they ever did when they were regular citizens. And they don't get a red cent for it.
I beg your pardon?
I say they're getting stiffed. Anybody who works that hard ought to get paid.
I don't understand what you're getting at.
What are they knocking themselves out for if it's for free? You know what it is all these people got in common? Not their age, not their job, not their, you should, pardon the expression, sex. They're teaching.
Teaching, Clocker? Who?
I don't know. I'm working on that now. Doc, I tell you, I miss that mouse. I gotta save her.
Clocker, it's too much for you.
Yeah, who was it said Warlock had turned into a dog in his third year? Who was it had 7 winners the opening day at Belmont? You take my word for it, Doc. I'll beat the schizophrenia handicap. She can't see or hear us, but she can sure see or hear something, and I'm gonna dope it. I had an idea now. I had it doped that Zelda was showing somebody how to dance, whoever they are. And the only way I could spring her was to find out who was controlling her and what they were after. The first step was to get them interested in me and what I know about racing, doping horses. So next time I went to see her, I sat beside her and I started to talk. Now, the first thing you got to figure is bloodlines. You take a horse, you got to know back maybe 4 or 5 generations on both sides. Then you got to know where the colt was foaled, what time of year, because all horses are 1 year old on the 1st of January. Then there's confirmation, training. You take a horse with good bloodlines, break him in the spring on a hard surface training track, and the first thing you know, you got a horse with a shin splint. And they may cover it up, but if you know it's there.
Mr.
I once knew a horse ran in Hialeah who was scared of flamingos.
Hey, what are you doing?
Had a fine record at Gulfstream and Bowie, but when he got down to Hialeah and got one look at the flamingos, he wouldn't run for beans.
Mr. Locke, are you all right?
Shut up, I'm busy.
You're listening to At the Post, tonight's attraction on X-1. The new War Orphans Education Program. What is it? And what does it do? Well, here's the answer straight from the Veterans Administration. It's a training program for young men and women, sons and daughters of war veterans who died from service-connected causes. By war veterans, we mean veterans of World War I, World War II, or the Korean conflict. To qualify for this training, young men or young women must be generally between the ages of 18 and 23. The program offers up to 36 months of schooling, which is the equivalent of 4 college years' training, with the VA paying an allowance of $110 for each month in school. The place to apply for war orphan schooling is your nearest VA office. If you are eligible and you're planning to go to school this fall, the time to apply is now. It takes time to arrange for your school. It takes time for VA vocational counseling. So don't wait for the last minute. Remember, your nearest VA office is the place to apply. Now back to X-1 and At the Post.
I kept coming back every day. I'd just sit there next to Zelda while she did a time step, and I'd talk about horses, over and over. And finally, I started to hear voices.
Clocker, Clocker, this way, Clocker. Come this way, Clocker.
Like it was a fog, I could see the attendant in his white coat asking me questions, and I couldn't hear him. I knew I just kept on talking about the horses. And then suddenly I wasn't there. I was somewhere else. I was in a big square, and the buildings looked like the new Roosevelt Raceway, all modern. Or maybe like the World's Fair. There were trees and statues, and there were hundreds of people standing around, and they all looked scared. There was a little man with bifocals and a vest with pins and needles in it standing next to me. He looked scared, but I knew it'd work. I was on my way to Zelda.
How did I get here? Excuse me, mister, how did I get here?
I don't know.
Am I dead?
I don't think so. Suddenly, the crowd all grew quiet when a man climbed on a big platform in front. He was very tall and dignified, and he had formal clothes and a white beard like the chief mourner at a politician's funeral.
Ladies and gentlemen, please feel at ease. You are not in any danger. No harm will come to you. If you will listen carefully to this orientation lecture, you will know where you are and why.
What is it? I don't understand.
Friends,
it's a pitch.
You have been chosen, yes, carefully screened and selected to help us in undoubtedly the greatest cause of all history, a vast and noble experiment.
Smells like a con.
Let me state this in its simplest terms. You know that there are billions of stars in the universe, and that the stars have planets. In almost all instances, the dominant form of life on these planets is quite different from yours. I am not of your planet or solar system. I am not actually formed as you see me. My true appearance would seem to be rather confusing to human eyes.
Nuts, get to the point.
The truth is, we are not here, and neither are you. Here is a projection of thought, a hypothetical point in space, a place that exists only by mental force.
What is he saying? What does he mean?
Our civilization is considerably older than yours. For many of your centuries, we tried to establish communication with you, but there were grave difficulties. I'm sorry to report that those people with whom we did make contact were generally burned at the stake.
Here it comes. He's getting ready to slip us the sting.
You know the history of your own race. It is a record of incessant war, each more devastating than the last. Now, finally, man has changed the power of worldwide destruction. The next war, or the one after that, will unquestionably be the end not only of civilization, but of humanity, perhaps even of your entire planet. Then why have we brought you here? Because man, in spite of his suicidal blunders, is a magnificent race. He must not vanish without leaving a complete record of his achievements. This is the task on which we must work together. Every area of human society must be covered. We need you urgently. Your data will become part of an imperishable social document that shall exist untold eons after mankind has vanished.
Oh, he had a slick con. He had that crowd in the palm of his hand like a small-time grifter selling pearl necklaces on 6th Avenue. They all cheered. After a while, they broke us up into divisions, and I got herded into a building marked Sports and Rackets. I started telling them about horse racing, but they held me down to one sentence. They said I had to repeat it over and over so that recording thing could get it. Apparently, it only absorbed things slow.
Well, that's enough for today. Isn't it amazing? We have a more detailed record of human society than man himself ever had. Your life, my life, the life of this Zelda, whom you came here to rescue, all are unimportant, for we must die eventually. But the project will last eternally.
You're telling me you know what I'm here for?
To secure the return of your wife. I would naturally be aware that you had submitted yourself to our control voluntarily. It was in your file that was sent to me by admissions.
And why did you let me in?
Because, my dear friend, we know...
Leave out the friend pitch. I'm here on business.
As you wish. We let you in, as you express it, because you have knowledge that we should include in our archives. We hoped you'd recognize the merit and scope of our undertaking. Most people do, once they're told.
Zelda, too?
Oh, yes, Zelda is extremely cooperative, quite convinced. Would you like to see her?
Yeah, sure I would.
Well, that can be arranged. I'll call the Arts and Entertainment section and arrange a meeting.
Zelda, baby.
Clocker.
Let's get out of here.
Oh, hello, Clocker.
Aren't you glad to see me? I spent months and shot every dime I got just to find you.
Oh, sure, I'm glad to see you. But I can't waste any time. This work is so important. Isn't it wonderful?
What's so wonderful about it?
If they could let the earth go boom, it wouldn't mean a thing to them. Everybody wiped out, just like there were never any people. Not even as much record of us as the dinosaurs. Wouldn't that make you feel simply awful?
I wouldn't feel a thing. All I'm worried about is us, baby. Who cares about the rest of the world doing a disappearing act?
I do, and so do they. They aren't selfish like some people I could mention.
Selfish? You're darn right I am. Zelda, listen. I'm selfish because I got a wife and I'm nuts about her and I want her back.
Listen, I have to help out on this project, hon. It's the least I can do for history.
History? What did history ever do for us? Go turn in your time card, baby. Tell them you got a date with me back on Earth.
No, this is my job just as much as theirs, more even. They don't keep anybody here against their will. I'm staying because I want to, Clocker.
Zelda, you're being kind.
Excuse me, Clocker, I gotta get back. I'm teaching them the soft shoe now.
Are you satisfied now, Mr. Locke?
Listen, what's in this for you?
We're devoting our skill to recording a race that is about to destroy itself. That's enough game.
Yeah, that's the hook. Take away the doom push and this racket falls. Listen, what makes you so sure we're going to commit suicide?
Is there any doubt of it? Do you honestly believe the Holocaust can be averted?
I think it can be stopped, yeah. Listen, between these catatonics and me, we could tell them what it's all about. I notice you got people from all over the world here. They're getting along fine because they have a job to do and don't have time to hate each other. Well, it could be like that back on Earth.
Mr. Locke, we have already experimented in the manner you suggest. A human psychological mechanism defeated us.
Yeah? What was that?
Protective amnesia. They completely and absolutely forgot everything they'd learned here.
Well, what are the odds on me remembering?
Well, you're our first volunteer.
Look, I'll give you a deal. You let me out and maybe I'll be the first case that didn't get amnesia. And I can tell the world about all this. I'll come back if I lame out. You can pick me up any time you want. But if I make headway, you got to let Zelda go, too.
Well, that's a reasonable proposition. We'll lift our control, Mr. Locke, for a suitable time. If you can arouse a measurable opposition to racial suicide, measurable, mind you, we agree to release your wife and revise our policy completely.
I came to at Glendale. Took me about 2 weeks to convince them I was all right again. And finally they let me loose. I had to convince the world that they were throwing the race and that they needed the saliva test. So I started to write it all out in my tip sheet, in and around the horses. Around that time, I ran into Doc.
Clarker, my boy, you've no idea how anxious we were about you, but you're looking fit, I'm glad to say.
Thanks. Wish I could say the same about you and the rest of the world.
Well, there's no need to worry about us. We'll muddle along somehow.
You'd think so, huh?
Well, I'm glad to see you running your tip sheet again. As long as the bobtails run, who cares what happens to anything else?
Of course, nobody'd listen to me. I had posters printed telling everybody. I made speeches in Columbus Circle. I told everybody doomsday was near. Nobody paid any attention. I sneaked into the balcony of the General Assembly, tried to shout a speech, and they threw me out, very politely. I wrote the whole thing up for a magazine, and they printed it and sent me a check. Told me if I had any more fiction, they'd be glad to run it. I kept trying to tell everybody the truth about the catatonics. We ought to go to the hospitals and get ourselves let in, and have the aliens take over and show us where we're going. Nobody'd listen. And finally, I went back out to Glendale.
Oh, Mr. Locke. We were wondering when you'd come to visit your wife. Been away?
I want my old room back.
Oh, but you're perfectly normal.
Give me half an hour alone, and you'll be glad to give me my room.
Mr. Locke. Back again, I see.
I'm no dummy. I know when I'm licked.
So do we, Mr. Locke. Naturally, you have no way of detecting the effect you've had. We do. The result is that because of your experiment, we're gladly revising our policy.
Huh? Is this a rib? Nobody listened to me.
Oh, but they did. Visits to catatonics have increased considerably. When the visitors are alone with our human associates, they tentatively follow the directions you gave them in your article. Not all do, to be sure. Only those who feel as strongly about being with their loved ones as you do about your wife. We've accepted 4 voluntary applicants.
You mean I made it?
That's right. Before long, we will be able to release the first group to go back and carry the message. Whenever you care to, Mr. Locke, you and your wife are free to leave.
Okay. Okay, but I'll tell you what. I owe you plenty. I'll help make that record before I go. I'll teach you how to dope the horses. Is that what you want?
Why, yes.
All right, then let's go. The quicker we get started, the quicker we can get back.
Fred Collins again, and I'll be back with a word about X-1 in a moment.
Nighttime. The lights dim down for the curtain in theaters on Broadway. A Hollywood star greets the first guests at her party in Beverly Hills. In Chicago, the police plan to close the ring on a band of desperate criminals. At a world-famous circus in Paris, France, the star trapeze artist climbs to a precarious perch high over the center ring. In a Las Vegas nightclub, a hush falls over the tables as one of the great singing stars of our time steps out onto the stage. And in New York's Radio City, the studio warning light flashes, "Stand by." Nightline is about to go on the air, taking you to wherever in the country, wherever in the world, exciting things are happening at night. To make you more than a spectator, to make you a participant in these events. This is Walter O'Keefe, inviting you to join us on Nightline. Your line to exciting entertainment at night every
Monday through Thursday night over most of these NBC stations.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features The Dark Star by William Tenn. For everyone else, it was the anniversary of the first moon flight. For one man, it was just a tragically comic Valentine. Galaxy Magazine on your newsstand today. Tonight, X-1 has brought you At the Post, written by H.L. Gold and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Frank Maxwell as Clocker, Maxine Stewart as his wife Zelda, and she really is his wife, too, House Jameson as the otherworldly Calhoun, John Griggs as the hospital attendant, and Sam Raskin as the confused little tailor. This is Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Kenneth McGregor and is an NBC Radio Network production.
There's excitement in the air at night, and Nightline brings it to you. Hear Nightline with Walter O'Keefe, next on most of these NBC stations.
This is Nightline, your tie line to the world, and this is Walter O'Keefe. Tonight, a visit to worlds strangely different from ours, the world of the future, the world of X-1. Now, here is the future, X-1.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus one.
Tonight, the Clifford D. Simak story, Drop Dead. But first, hear this.
Have you ever asked yourself what this country's most important natural resource is? I'm Dorothy Olson, NBC Bandstand singing schoolteacher. Our most important resource? Well, you might consider it our mineral deposits, or our tremendous sources of water power, or maybe our great forests. Well, these are all very important natural resources, but there's one resource that's more important than all these combined. Our children. Don't neglect them or their educational facilities. Poor schools breed inadequate citizens for tomorrow. And another thing, keep your youngsters in tip-top shape so that they won't miss important school days. Dress them against the weather so they won't catch needless winter colds. Check their wardrobe as they go back to school this fall to be sure that they have plenty of the right kind of clothing. Remember, our children are this nation's most important natural resource. It's your job to protect their future as they go back to school this fall.
Now, X-1, and the story of an unbelievable planet. Listen to Drop Dead.
Exactly 1 hour and 20 minutes after we sent the survey ship out on its tail, the critters showed up. Ordinarily, when you make a landing on an unknown planet, it takes at least a week for any life to come creeping out of hiding and sneak a look. But there they were, the critters. They were almost cow-sized, but not as graceful as a cow. Their bodies were put together as if every blessed one of them had run full tilt into a wall. Their hides were splashed with large squares of pastel colors, the kind of color one never finds on any self-respecting animal. Violet, pink, orange, chartreuse. The overall effect was in a checkerboard, made by an old lady who did crazy quilts. Max Weber, our biologist, stood at the tail fin with me and stared.
Look at that on their heads. Those antlers.
Those are not antlers, my friend.
Well, I was afraid to say it. It looks like vegetation. As if they were trying to hide behind a skimpy thicket.
What bothers me is the fruit and vegetables. That is, fruit and vegetables growing on their heads.
Hey, watch it. One of them's broken away from the herd and coming over this way.
Step back. Give me a clear shot in case it charges.
Look, here it comes.
What? How do you like that? It just dropped.
Ted, that animal just walked up to us and dropped dead.
We left the critter lying where it fell and started to set up camp. Carl Parsons, our ecologist, had the stove together and the supper started before the last tent peg was driven. I dug out my diet kit and mixed up my formula, and all of them kidded me about it the way they always did. It didn't bother me. Their kidding was automatic, and I had automatic answers. I know ulcers must sound silly and archaic. You ask any medic, he'll tell you they don't happen anymore. But I have a riddled stomach and a special diet kit to prove that they sometimes do. After supper, Carl Parsons, the ecologist, Max, and I dragged the critter in and had a good look at it.
Hey, look at this, Ed. This animal's got different colored blocks on it, just like a checkerboard. Look at this one.
Holes.
Yeah. Just like one of those peg sets the kids use as toys. Here, look what I found out of that. I'll poke it with my knife. There.
Looks like a bee.
Well, it is. On top of being a tomato bush and a grapevine, this critter is a walking beehive.
Why couldn't they be something simple?
Yeah, it never is.
You know, this is a screwy place.
The critters?
No, not the critters, the planet itself. Never saw one like it. It's positively naked. No trees, no flowers, nothing. Almost as if someone had said, let's make a simple planet. Let's cut out all the frills. Let's skip all the biological experiments and just work on the basics. One form of life and the grass for it to eat.
We unshipped the experimental animals, the rats, the zartilles from Centauri, and the pumpkins from Polaris. The pumpkins made an unholy racket because pumpkins are always hungry. You just can't give them enough to eat. You turn them loose and they eat themselves to death. We got them all unshipped and set up under a shed in rows when Max walked up to me thoughtfully, chewing on a toothpick the way he always did.
Ed, there's something wrong.
Well, what do you mean?
There are no insects here. I wandered around, laid down in a dozen different places. Stands to reason a man should find some insects if he looked all morning. It is natural.
What about the bees?
What bees?
Well, the ones that were in the critter. Didn't you see any?
No, I didn't get close to any critter herds.
Birds?
Not a one. Oh, I was wrong about the flowers. The grass is tiny flowers.
For the bees to work on.
Very neat, isn't it?
I'm not so sure.
American tradition. Now back to X-1 and the Clifford Simac story, Drop Dead.
The bio team had the critters spread out on a canvas tarp. They were happily chopping them up in small pieces with a scalpel.
Ed, I've got news for you. No brain.
What?
No brain. We can't find one, and there's no nervous system.
That's impossible. How can a highly organized, complex animal exist without a brain or nervous system?
It's got everything else. As near as we can figure it out, there are at least a dozen different kinds of flesh. Some fish, some fowl, some good red meat, maybe even a little lizard.
Well, an all-purpose animal. We found something finally.
If it's edible, and if it doesn't poison you, if it doesn't grow hair all over you.
Well, that's up to you fellas. I'll get the cages down, and you can start killing off the little animals to your heart's content.
And there's only one insect, these bees. And we never see these unless we're near a critter herd. And no birds, no fish in the water. Not even a single cell paramecium.
Yeah, I was talking it over with Max.
You know, I'd give my right arm to hear a cricket or a mosquito or even a hornet.
This is the strangest thing we've been... Hey, Max, what are you chewing?
Toothpick.
That's no toothpick. Spit it out, spit it out. That's grass.
I don't know. I must have just picked it automatically to chew on. It's just a habit, I guess.
Yeah. Well, go on with the report.
Well, it's a walking filet mignon. That animal is an all-purpose for sure. It lays eggs, gives milk, and has 6 different kinds of red meat. Makes honey, 2 kinds of fowl, 1 of fish, and a whole lot of others we can't identify.
Then, of course, the bacteria.
And what about the bacteria?
The critters swarm with them. And all of them the same. You know, it normally takes 100 different kinds of bacteria to make the metabolism work. But here there's only one. It must do all the work of the 100 other species do. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the brains and the nervous system you couldn't find with your knife. The bacteria doubling in brass for both systems.
The whole place balances. Nature's never static, never standing still. But here on this planet, it's standing still. Where's the competition? Where's the evolution? It's as if long ago all these life forms said, let's quit this feuding, let's get together, let's cooperate. Symbiosis.
Well, we need another critter to work on.
I'll bet you we get it.
Luckily, Max didn't take Carl's bet. Right after breakfast, the critter came in and died with a savoir-faire that was positively marvelous. We unloaded all our supplies and got ready for a long stay. We were feeding all the experimental animals on a critter now. The carnivorous ones ate the critter meat, and the vegetarians chomped on critter fruit and critter vegetables. They all grew sleek and sassy. We were sitting around after supper one night when suddenly we heard something.
Hey!
What is it?
Listen!
Thunder.
Listen!
I think... All right, quick. Everybody up into the ship.
What is it?
A herd of critters. Look, you see the dust? They're coming this way in a stampede. We swarmed up the ladder and tumbled into the port. Below us, the stampeding critters went grinding through camp. There seemed to be millions of them. They came pouring past for almost an hour. When it was all done, we came down and surveyed the damage.
Well, the animals are safe. They were under the tail fins.
Everything else is gone. Tents carried away.
Food supply is gone.
How about the emergency rations in the ship?
I had to move them down to the supply tent so they'd be handy. They're gone, dashed into the mud.
Well, even if we lifted ship immediately, it's at least 7 weeks to the nearest contact point. And no rations.
Well, gentlemen, I suggest you try on your bibs. There'll be steak for dinner.
Steak?
That's right. Steak or fowl or fish or honey, whichever you like.
You mean eat critter?
You got any other ideas?
Well, for one time. Ed, I wish I had your ulcers. You've got your diet kit in your pack, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's get a good fire going and throw on a chunk of critter.
The crew ate about a critter a day. They didn't seem to mind. Just at breakfast time, one would walk in and keel over. The crew ate like there was no tomorrow. I waited for them to break out in a rash or start turning green with purple spots or grow scales or something. But nothing happened. They felt better than they ever had. But then one morning, Max Weber turned up sick.
Well, gentlemen, I've just taken a sample of my own blood.
How do you feel?
Lousy. I'm loaded with bacteria. Critter bacteria. I've checked some of the others. They've got a lower count than I have.
Well, that figures. You got a head start.
No.
The rest of them have just been eating critter for a week. Hey, remember the day you ran out of toothpicks and took to chewing on a grass stem?
Yeah. Well, we can't stop eating critter. It's all the food we have.
Well, we might stop eating critter now. And there's my diet kit. We might make it home.
Your diet kit wouldn't last us 3 days.
I took a blood sample on the test animals. They've got a bacteria count almost as high as mine.
Well, it doesn't make any difference. We still have to eat critter. We haven't got any choice.
That night, Weber disappeared. We hunted him for 3 days. He couldn't have gone very far, but we didn't find him. We did find one queer thing, though.
Hey, over here! Down in the gully!
Ed, what is it?
That white fungus, kind of a ball. It wasn't here last week.
We couldn't find Weber. And then about 4 days later, Carl woke me up.
Ed, get up. Get up.
What's the matter?
The animals, the test animals. They're encysting. They're turning into cocoons or chrysalis or something.
What?
All of the test animals, the guinea pigs, the dogs, they're turning into white fungus balls.
Carl, the ball we found out in the field.
Weber. Max Weber. It's got to be.
had some trouble finding the place because the land was so flat and featureless. We finally located it just as dusk was setting in.
It's split.
It looks like an egg after a chicken's been hatched. Carl?
Well, what do you think? Look inside. There are two halves of that cocoon. Look at the marks. You can see what it is now. Ed, you're the only one who had the chance. I think you should leave right now. Get back to the center and tell them. You've got your diet kit. You can make it. No wonder there are just the critters here. Take one drink of water, chew a single grass stem, take one bite of critter. Do any one of those things and you turn into one of them. Listen, Ed, you take your diet kit and notes and get out of here.
But I can't run out on you.
Forget us. We're not human anymore. You must not stay. If you do, in a day or two, a critter will come in and drop dead for you. And you'll go crazy all the way back home, wondering which one of us it was.
I walked slowly over to the ship, and I stood at the foot of the ladder, holding the notes and the diet kit against my chest. I thought of all the things we'd been through together. The crew, how they'd always kidded me about the diet kit. I thought of almost 10 years eating that awful goo, and that I could never eat like a normal human because of my ulcerated stomach. Maybe they were the lucky ones, I told myself. If a man got turned into a critter, he'd probably come out with a whole stomach and never worry about how much or what he ate. The critters never ate anything except the grass. But maybe, I thought, that grass tasted just as good to them as steak or a pumpkin pie would taste to me. So I stood there for a while and I thought about it.
Ed, what are you doing back here?
Carl, I just took that diet kit and threw it out into the waste disposal unit.
What are you talking about?
My friend, I am very hungry. What have you got for supper?
Fred Collins speaking. And I'll have another word for you about X-1 in a moment.
Hi, this is Walter O'Keefe. You know, they say there's nothing new under the sun, and maybe that's true. But there is something new under the moon, and that's Nightline. In Nightline, we think we found the way to use the intimacy as well as the lightning-fast maneuverability of radio in an hour-and-a-half package of high-voltage, different entertainment. We found the way to make the airwaves your magic carpet to wherever big things are happening. Anywhere in the country, for that matter, anywhere in the world. Now, let's say that your favorite comedian is performing at a Las Vegas nightclub. He's packing them in, and you've really got to have connections to get a table. Well, Nightline is that connection, and your radio is your ringside table. More things than you'd believe are happening in the so-called still of the night, and Nightline is your line to exciting entertainment after dark. My feeling is Nightline marks a new era in nighttime entertainment. Tune us in every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and you'll hear what I mean.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Double Indemnity by Robert Sheckley. To commit the perfect crime, all Barthold needed was centuries in which to plan it and execute it, and an insurance policy with Double Indemnity. Galaxy Magazine on your newsstand today. Tonight, X-1 has brought you Drop Dead, a story written by Clifford D. Simak and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in our cast were Lawson Zerbe as Ed, Ralph Camargo as Max Weber, and Joseph Bell as Carl Parsons. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by George Voutsas and is an NBC Radio Network production.
You'll be on the right line to exciting entertainment when you hear Nightline tonight over most of these NBC stations.
"300 miles from the magic island of Euclidia. 300 miles between the Gregory party and the weird colony of scientists who have held them captive for so long. With Joan Gregory at the controls of the stolen Euclidean submarine, putting another 40 miles behind them every hour, it looks as if Jerry and Joan, Mrs. Gregory, and Tex Bradford have really escaped from the island. They are not to be allowed to get away without some opposition, however, as the Euclideans have been sending out directional radio beams in an attempt to locate the missing submarine. All is quiet inside the sub now, and only Jerry and Joan are to be seen in the central control section.
Are you sure we won't disturb your mother and Tex if we talk up here?
There is no danger of that, Jerry.
But you can hear our voices all over this thing.
Yes, if I had not closed the stern section off.
Closed it off? Well, I can still see Tex and Mrs. Gregory asleep back there on the bunk.
To be sure you can. There is no necessity of losing visibility merely to restrict sound.
Yeah, I know. Everything's so easy for you to do. That's another one of those soundproof doors, I suppose.
To be sure. One of the transparent steel doors. Mother and the captain may rest there in perfect comfort and silence while we continue our discussion.
What discussion?
We were speaking of plans for our amusement in Los Angeles.
Oh, it'll be easy enough to find plenty to amuse you with when we get there. But I'd like to know a little more about our plans for the rest of this ocean.
The rest of this ocean, as you refer to the balance of our cruise, should prove comparatively uneventful.
Yeah, I can see that. Nothing's liable to happen to us except old G47 and his Euclideans. And when they happen to you, it's not so funny.
If there is any method by which the Euclidean scientists are able to interfere with our journey, that method is not apparent to me at this time.
But this was too easy. You can't steal a submarine and get away with it anywhere in the world, least of all from these guys on that island.
The success of our plan depends on the element of surprise.
I guess they were surprised, all right.
Indubitably.
Huh?
Indubitably.
Oh, okay. But I'll bet they were surprised, too.
You may continue to misunderstand me, but we are obviously safe from Euclidean pursuit.
I'm not so sure. How far are we from the magic island?
306 miles.
And you think we're safe from those scientists?
That is my belief.
What about their 500-mile-an-hour airplanes and their 1,000-mile-an-hour rocket ships?
We are in 8 fathoms of water, Jerry.
Can't they locate us easy enough with their directional radio stuff?
Not from Euclidia. Not so long as we do not attempt to use the radio set.
Well, we won't do that. We got one message from Johnson, and we know he's waiting for us in Los Angeles. That's enough for us.
It will be quite simple for a Euclidean plane to locate us in the water at this depth.
What did I just get through telling you?
But they have no weapon which will prove effective.
Couldn't a Euclidean plane attack one of our subs in this much water?
To be sure. But these underwater craft are insulated against all Euclidean weapons, to my knowledge.
Yeah, that's right. They would be, or your boats would be shooting up each other, practicing.
Exactly.
Well, I'll bet they could cause us plenty of trouble, though.
That they could easily do. And they could compel us to submerge to such a depth that our progress would be restricted to the vanishing point.
Well, what more do you want?
What more do I want?
I mean, what more harm do they have to do to us? If they can dive this thing down to the ocean floor and make us stay there until our provisions and fuel are gone, all they've got to do is wait until we have to come up to the surface for help and grab us.
That would be sound reasoning if Euclidean submarines were not superior to your worldly ones.
I know that you've got the best boats in the world, but no matter how much you know about science, you've got to eat and sleep just the same as anybody else. And we can't live on the water forever.
Our oxygen supply is continuously refreshed from the water.
I'm talking about food. We're going to have to keep eating.
We have sufficient compressed food to last a month with care. And during that time, we could reach Los Angeles if we were compelled to progress at an almost negligible rate along the ocean floor.
And they can't reach us with anything if we go deep enough?
No one can reach us at our maximum depth.
And just how deep can we go until they keep this thing moving along a little bit?
We may operate at a speed of 4 knots at a depth of 1 1/2 nautical miles, 9,120 feet.
Golly whiskers. Won't the sides of the sub cave in from the water pressure when we get down that deep?
There is no natural water pressure on this globe sufficient to injure this submarine.
Well, if you say so, I'll have to believe it. And it looks like we're going to get home all right.
I'm sure of that, Jerry. We will arrive safely in California with the captain's formula remaining a secret from the Euclideans.
And what Tex will do to them with that formula will be plenty.
Do you know how he proposes to use it?
Well, I'm not any too sure, but I think...
One moment, Jerry. I must refuel.
Oh, give the sub one of those little pills, huh?
Yes. It will take but a few seconds to inject the fuel pellet and clear the combustion tanks. You may continue your remarks, Jerry.
Huh?
Jerry, you may continue.
Continue? What?
The discussion of the captain's formula and its use.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was watching that refueling thing, and I guess I forgot what we were talking about.
You were going to attempt to explain how the formula for the universal solvent may be used in capturing the island of Euclidia.
No, I wasn't.
But you said
I said I wasn't any too sure how Tex intended to use it, and I'm not. Maybe he can explain it to you.
I will ask him.
Well, don't wake him up to do that.
That will not be necessary. The captain is awake.
Huh? Oh, yeah. It looks like your mother's awake, too.
Those thin metal sleeping compartments are perhaps not too comfortable for them.
I'll take a chance on going to sleep on one of them.
You will be given the opportunity the moment Mother and the captain come forward to relieve us.
You mean you're going to let Tex and Mrs. Gregory run this thing while you and I sleep?
Certainly.
But, do they know how?
I can give them all the necessary instructions in 10 seconds.
Well, I guess I can spare that much time. But I can sure use a little sleep before long.
Mother and the captain are now approaching.
I'll bet Tex bumps his head in that transparent steel door. I know it.
I will remove the transparent section panel.
Okay, Tex. You can come up here now.
What was that I bumped my head on?
A transparent steel panel. You will find no further obstructions to your passage.
It's a strange sensation to watch a man stopped by a steel wall that you can't even see.
Yeah, stranger than that when you're the fellow who gets stopped.
Joan put that section across the stern sleeping quarters so our talking wouldn't wake you up.
And we did sleep. At least I did.
Yeah, I did too, but I sort of feel a little like I've been sleeping on a rock pile.
Those flexible steel mattresses are a little strange to us.
Those will be found on all Euclidean craft.
So there won't be anything to burn if a fire tries to start,
Precisely.
Huh?
Well, kids, I feel a little guilty about letting you two stand watch while Pat and I slept, but if you think you can trust us to run this thing, we'll take it over.
Will that be all right, Joan?
Captain Bradford can do everything I could possibly do.
Joan can set all the automatic controls for you, and this sub navigates itself.
Would it make any difference if you opened those visibility slides for us, Joan?
None whatever.
Well, I think I'd like to have them open. Even if we can't do anything about it, I'd like to see where we're going.
It's nice and quiet riding along with them closed, though.
Yeah, I know, Jerry, but I know how Mrs. Gregory feels, too. I'm inclined to agree with her. A little good old sound will be a tonic for both of us.
Yeah, it is a little too quiet for me here, but Joan likes it this way.
I will open the slides for you, Captain. I have just refueled, and you may repeat every 40 knots.
I understand, Joan.
Tex and I will stand a 4-hour watch.
We'll stand it as long as it takes you two to get some rest. You must be all in.
Oh, I'm not tired, but I guess I could sleep a little.
We will rest 4 hours. At that time, we may expect the Euclidean location beam again.
Could we try the radio?
No, it is too dangerous.
But you said the Euclideans had nothing they could harm us with in this sub.
That is true. However, if they learn of our exact location, it will be a simple matter for them to follow our progress to Los Angeles. And there are many ways in which they might plan a most unpleasant reception for us.
Yes, you're right, Joan. I think our best chance is to get into port without being located, if that's possible.
Well, come on, Joan. Let's go back and collect some shut-eye.
Collect what?
We'll take 40 winks. Hit the hay. Pile in the feathers. Go on the downy. Don't you understand any of those?
I do not.
Well, I mean, let's go back and lie down and sleep.
Then you should say what you mean. You are now the one who is using large words where small ones would serve much better.
Well, never mind about that. I'll argue with you after I get some sleep. Well, how do you shut this door?
I will close the door.
Those kids sure spend a lot of their time quarreling.
Yes, but it seems to be excellent for their morale. They also spend a lot of time getting things done.
They sure do. The nerve of Joan stealing this submarine.
I'm very proud of her, Tex.
You should be. When Joan learns our ways, she will be the most accomplished girl of her age in the country.
Do you think we'll reach home in safety?
We've got a long way to go. If Joan and Jerry can keep their heads up, we should be able to.
Joan forgot to open that slide for us. I'd like to see out into the water, Tex, and see where we're going.
Well, I know how to do that. I watched Joan close the slide. It's this one.
Oh, I like that ever so much better.
I'm not sure I do. We're a long way down the water, Pat.
But this submarine is so safe. And what a wonderful machine it is.
think of being able to look through a wall of transparent steel?
Yes, and a wall that will stand water pressure at a depth of 1.5 miles. I'd say we were pretty safe, Pat.
Well, at least we're not under G47's eyes, and he can't hear every word we say.
We can hear you, though.
Tex, was that Jerry?
Yes, but that stern section is soundproof.
Nevertheless, we can hear all you say.
How are they doing that?
Sounds like a speaker of some kind.
Sure, Tex. This is a communication system. We're hearing you through the little microphone right in front of you.
Will you two stop playing and get some rest? Your 4 hours will pass soon enough.
You are correct, Mother. We will cut off the voice channel.
Those kids sure managed to keep their spirits up.
They're a good deal younger than we are, Tex.
Well, I'm sure Jerry's a lot younger than I am, but you and Joan could pass for sisters.
Now, Tex, I've a fair idea of my appearance, and I know it isn't particularly flattering.
Your appearance is always exactly to my liking.
Oh, you're a sweet person, Tex. You spent many a year helping me search for Joan.
It's been more than worth it. Now we've found her.
Yes. She's mine at last. After 14 years, I'm actually taking her home, Tex. Home. Oh, it will be a home now, for the first time in those 14 long years.
Wait a minute, Pat. I heard something. Something strange.
Yes. And I thought I felt the submarine quiver.
You must have passed over a high reef.
No, the water's clear all around us. There isn't an obstruction in sight in any direction.
Well, I know something happened.
Oh, Tex, it's getting nearer.
And it didn't sound good to me.
Dive, Captain Bradford. Those are Euclidean magnetic bombs. Dive at once.
Well, how do I do it?
Oh, Tex.
Quiet, Mother. That large lever between your knees, Captain. Pull it to you. Pull it quickly. We are being attacked from the air. Pull that lever.
300 miles from the magic island of Euclidia. 300 miles between the Gregory party and the weird colony of scientists who have held them captive for so long. With Joan Gregory at the controls of the stolen Euclidean submarine, putting another 40 miles behind them every hour, it looks as if Jerry and Joan, Mrs. Gregory, and Tex Bradford have really escaped from the island. They are not to be allowed to get away without some opposition, however, as the Euclideans have been sending out directional radio beams in an attempt to locate the missing submarine. All is quiet inside the sub now, and only Jerry and Joan are to be seen in the central control section.
Are you sure we won't disturb your mother and Tex if we talk up here?
There is no danger of that, Jerry.
But you can hear our voices all over this thing.
Yes, if I had not closed the stern section off.
Closed it off? Well, I can still see Tex and Mrs. Gregory asleep back there on the bunk.
To be sure you can. There is no necessity of losing visibility merely to restrict sound.
Yeah, I know. Everything's so easy for you to do. That's another one of those soundproof doors, I suppose.
To be sure. One of the transparent steel doors. Mother and the captain may rest there in perfect comfort and silence while we continue our discussion.
What discussion?
We were speaking of plans for our amusement in Los Angeles.
Oh, it'll be easy enough to find plane to amuse you with when we get there. But I'd like to know a little more about our plans for the rest of this ocean.
The rest of this ocean, as you refer to the balance of our cruise, should prove comparatively uneventful.
Yeah, I can see that. Nothing's liable to happen to us except old G47 and his Euclideans. And when they happen to you, it's not so funny.
If there is any method by which the Euclidean scientists are able to interfere with our journey, that method is not apparent to me at this time.
But this was too easy. You can't steal a submarine and get away with it anywhere in the world, least of all from these guys on that island.
The success of our plan depends on the element of surprise.
I guess they were surprised, all right.
Indubitably.
Huh?
Indubitably.
Oh, okay. But I'll bet they were surprised, too.
You may continue to misunderstand me, but we are obviously safe from Euclidean pursuit.
I'm not so sure. How far are we from the magic island?
306 miles.
And you think we're safe from those scientists?
That is my belief.
What about their 500-mile-an-hour airplanes and their 1,000-mile-an-hour rocket ships?
We are in 8 fathoms of water, Jerry.
Can't they locate us easy enough with their directional radio stuff?
Not from Euclidia. Not so long as we do not attempt to use the radio set.
Well, we won't do that. We got one message from Johnson, and we know he's waiting for us in Los Angeles. That's enough for us.
It will be quite simple for a Euclidean plane to locate us in the water at this depth.
What did I just get through telling you?
But they have no weapon which will prove effective.
Couldn't a Euclidean plane attack one of our subs in this much water?
To be sure. But these underwater crafts are insulated against all Euclidean weapons, to my knowledge.
Yeah, that's right. They would be, or your boats would be shooting up each other, practicing.
Exactly.
Well, I'll bet they could cause us plenty of trouble, though.
That they could easily do. And they could compel us to submerge to such a depth that our progress would be restricted to the vanishing point.
Well, what more do you want?
What more do I want?
I mean, what more harm do they have to do to us? If they can dive this thing down to the ocean floor and make us stay there until our provisions and fuel are gone, all they've got to do is wait until we have to come up to the surface for help and grab us.
That would be sound reasoning if Euclidean submarines were not superior to your worldly ones.
I know that you've got the best boats in the world, but no matter how much you know about science, you've got to eat and sleep just the same as anybody else. And we can't live on the water forever.
Our oxygen supply is continuously refreshed from the water.
I'm talking about food. We're going to have to keep eating.
We have sufficient compressed food to last a month with care. And during that time, we could reach Los Angeles if we were compelled to progress at an almost negligible rate along the ocean floor.
And they can't reach us with anything if we go deep enough?
No one can reach us at our maximum depth.
And just how deep can we go until they keep this thing moving along a little bit?
We may operate at a speed of 4 knots at a depth of 1 1/2 nautical miles, 9,120 feet.
Golly whiskers. Won't the sides of the sub cave in from the water pressure when we get down that deep?
There is no natural water pressure on this globe sufficient to injure this submarine.
Well, if you say so, I'll have to believe it. And it looks like we're going to get home all right.
I'm sure of that, Jerry. We will arrive safely in California with the captain's formula remaining a secret from the Euclideans.
And what Tex will do to them with that formula will be plenty.
Do you know how he proposes to use it?
Well, I'm not any too sure, but I think...
One moment, Jerry. I must refuel.
Oh, give the sub one of those little pills, huh?
Yes. It will take but a few seconds to inject the fuel pellet and clear the combustion tanks. You may continue your remarks, Jerry.
Huh?
Jerry, you may continue.
Continue? What?
The discussion of the captain's formula and its use.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was watching that refueling thing, and I guess I forgot what we were talking about.
You were going to attempt to explain how the formula for the universal solvent may be used in capturing the island of Euclidia.
No, I wasn't.
But you said...
I said I wasn't any too sure how Tex intended to use it, and I'm not. Maybe he can explain it to you.
I will ask him.
Well, don't wake him up to do that.
That will not be necessary. The captain is awake.
Huh? Oh, yeah. It looks like your mother's awake, too.
Those thin metal sleeping compartments are perhaps not too comfortable for them.
I'll take a chance on going to sleep on one of them.
You will be given the opportunity the moment Mother and the captain come forward to relieve us.
You mean you're going to let Tex and Mrs. Gregory run this thing while you and I sleep?
Certainly.
But, do they know how?
I can give them all the necessary instructions in 10 seconds.
Well, I guess I can spare that much time. But I can sure use a little sleep before long.
Mother and the captain are now approaching.
I'll bet Tex bumps his head in that transparent steel door. I know it.
I will remove the transparent section panel.
Okay, Tex. You can come up here now.
What was that I bumped my head on?
A transparent steel panel. You will find no further obstructions to your passage.
It's a strange sensation to watch a man stopped by a steel wall that you can't even see.
Yeah, stranger than that when you're the fellow who gets stopped.
Joan put that section across the stern sleeping quarters so our talking wouldn't wake you up.
And we did sleep. At least I did.
Yeah, I did too, but I sort of feel a little like I've been sleeping on a rock pile.
Those flexible steel mattresses are a little strange to us.
Those will be found on all Euclidean craft.
So there won't be anything to burn if a fire tries to start,
Precisely.
Huh?
Well, kids, I feel a little guilty about letting you two stand watch while Pat and I slept, but if you think you can trust us to run this thing, we'll take it over.
Will that be all right, Joan?
Captain Bradford can do everything I could possibly do.
Joan can set all the automatic controls for you, and this sub navigates itself.
Would it make any difference if you opened those visibility slides for us, Joan?
None whatever.
Well, I think I'd like to have them open. Even if we can't do anything about it, I'd like to see where we're going.
It's nice and quiet riding along with them closed, though.
Yeah, I know, Jerry, but I know how Mrs. Gregory feels, too. I'm inclined to agree with her. A little good old sound will be a tonic for both of us.
Yeah, it is a little too quiet for me here, but Joan likes it this way.
I will open the slides for you, Captain. I have just refueled, and you may repeat every 40 knots.
I understand, Joan.
Tex and I will stand a 4-hour watch.
We'll stand it as long as it takes you two to get some rest. You must be all in.
Oh, I'm not tired. But I guess I could sleep a little.
We will rest 4 hours. At that time, we may expect the Euclidean location beam again.
Could we try the radio?
No, it is too dangerous.
But you said the Euclideans had nothing they could harm us with in this sub.
That is true. However, if they learn of our exact location, it will be a simple matter for them to follow our progress to Los Angeles. And there are many ways in which they might plan a most unpleasant reception for us.
Yes, you're right, Joan. I think our best chance is to get into port without being located, if that's possible.
Well, come on, Joan. Let's go back and collect some shut-eye.
Collect what?
We'll take 40 winks. Hit the hay. Pile in the feathers. Go on the downy. Don't you understand any of those?
I do not.
Well, I mean, let's go back and lie down and sleep.
Then you should say what you mean. You are now the one who is using large words where small ones would serve much better.
Well, never mind about that. I'll argue with you after I get some sleep. How do you shut this door?
I will close the door.
Those kids sure spend a lot of their time quarreling.
Yes, but it seems to be excellent for their morale. They also spend a lot of time getting things done.
They sure do. The nerve of Joan stealing this submarine.
I'm very proud of her, Tex.
You should be. If Joan learns our ways, she will be the most accomplished girl of her age in the country.
Do you think we'll reach home in safety?
We've got a long way to go. If Joan and Jerry can keep their heads up, we should be able to.
Joan forgot to open that slide for us. I'd like to see out into the water, Tex, and see where we're going.
Well, I know how to do that. I watched Joan close the slide. It's this one.
Oh, I like that ever so much better.
I'm not sure I do. We're a long way down the water, Pat.
But this submarine is so safe. And what a wonderful machine it is. Think of being able to look through a wall of transparent steel.
Yes, and a wall that will stand water pressure at a depth of 1.5 miles. I'd say we were pretty safe, Pat.
Well, at least we're not under G47's eyes, and he can't hear every word we say.
We can hear you, though.
Tex, was that Jerry?
Yes, but that stern section is soundproof.
Nevertheless, we can hear all you say.
How are they doing that?
Sounds like a speaker of some kind.
Nice work, Tex. This is a communication system. We're hearing you through the little microphone right in front of you.
Will you two stop playing and get some rest? Your 4 hours will pass soon enough.
You are correct, Mother. We will cut off the voice channel.
Those kids sure managed to keep their spirits up.
They're a good deal younger than we are, Tex.
Well, I'm sure Jerry's a lot younger than I am, but you and Joan could pass for sisters.
Now, Tex, I've a fair idea of my appearance, and I know it isn't particularly flattering.
Your appearance is always exactly to my liking.
Oh, you're a sweet person, Tex. You spent many a year helping me search for Joan.
It's been more than worth it. Now we've found her.
Yes. She's mine at last. After 14 years, I'm actually taking her home, Tex. Home. Oh, it will be a home now, for the first time in those 14 long years.
Wait a minute, Pat. I heard something. Something strange.
Yes. And I thought I felt the submarine quiver.
You must have passed over a high reef.
No, the water's clear all around us. There isn't an obstruction in sight in any direction.
Well, I know something happened.
Oh, Tex, it's getting nearer.
And it didn't sound good to me.
Dive, Captain Bradford. Those are Euclidean magnetic bombs. Dive at once.
Well, how do I do it?
Oh, Tex.
Quiet, Mother. That large lever between your knees, Captain. Pull it to you. Pull it quickly. We are being attacked from the air. Pull that lever.
The magic island of Euclidia is a weird place to discover, a difficult place to escape from, and now it seems that it's going to prove an even harder job to stay away from it. Jerry and Joan, Mrs. Gregory, and Captain Bradford stole one of the Euclidean submarines, and with Joan at the control, they raced away from the island in safety. Now they are nearly 400 miles from Euclidia, and that should be a safe enough distance from anywhere. But things move fast with G47 and his scientists. We find Captain Bradford at the controls in the central section of the submarine with Mrs. Gregory at his side. A strange sound had just reached their ears. The submarine hesitates, then is tossed about as if a heavy shell had exploded near it. And from the stern section, Joan screams at the captain to dive. The submarine is being attacked.
Diving, Tex. You must have moved the right lever.
Looks like it, but we don't seem to be going down very fast.
Jerry and Joan are rushing up here from the stern, and Joan will know what to do.
I pulled this thing just as she told me.
You're doing everything that can be done, Captain Bradford.
But we're not diving very fast.
My 14
thought you said this thing could dive like a fish.
Under proper conditions, these submarines will dive rapidly.
What's the matter, Joan? What's happening?
Euclidean magnetic bombs.
Magnetic bombs? What are they?
I will explain later. We must reach a greater depth at once.
I did everything you told me to, Joan, but we're sure going down mighty slowly.
Our danger is also increasing. Those magnetic bombs are finding our range. Let me have the controls, Captain.
Go to it, Joan.
Can I help?
Yes, remain out of my way.
Okay.
I will use the emergency jet. All of you must hold firmly to the arms of your steel chairs. The vibration may be sufficient to break the ship in half, but we must try it. Hold your stations.
Now we're really diving.
The speed must be terrific.
Feels almost like a power dive in a plane.
I think we will gain our freedom now. Its rate of descent will rapidly put us beyond reach of the magnetic bombs.
I could get seasick awfully easy.
Oh, I don't blame you, Jerry.
I guess we can stand it if Joan can.
We are nearly free from the effect of the bombs. In a few seconds, I will be able to reduce the speed.
Are we all right now?
I think there is no further danger from those magnetic depth charges. However, I will continue our descent more gradually until we reach a depth of 3,000 feet.
We've got to go down over half a mile to be sure of losing those attackers?
Yes, Captain.
They were not in a submarine, were they?
No, Mother. A Euclidean plane flying over it.
And they dropped those bombs from a plane?
Precisely.
But the explosions didn't do us any damage, except to rock the boat around a little. Why go so deep?
Those are magnetic bombs, and their action is purely magnetic. Had we remained longer at that depth, the pull of those released charges would have paralyzed this submarine completely. And naturally, that would have placed us at the absolute mercy of anyone who wanted to reach us.
But, Joan, I don't understand that at all. How could a bomb exploding in the water generate enough magnetic force to harm a 100-foot submarine?
Those bombs contain a charge of chemical which, when mixed with salt water, produces a magnetic field in the water, a field with a large radius. And the power is sufficient to render every instrument, every control on this boat useless for a considerable period of time.
Boy, that's a new one.
It certainly is, Jerry. I can imagine how it might work. But one thing that isn't clear to me, Joan. Any solution released in a body of water as large as the ocean will become diluted to the point of uselessness almost at once.
That is true, Captain, but paralyzed instruments, magnetized controls, and helpless submarines do not return to normal in an instant.
I can't think of a more terrible threat, a worse danger than a submarine without instruments, power, or controls.
Well, if they were going to capture us, well, they'd have to hang around the air dropping bombs until we got ready to surrender.
That wouldn't give these Euclideans much trouble, would it, Joan?
Not when you remember that a Euclidean plane could easily afford to cruise 100 hours over our position and still have sufficient fuel to return to Euclidia from our present position.
I'm sure it wouldn't take 100 hours or half that long for me to be ready to give up. Drifting along in 8 fathoms of water, helpless. Oh, no, Joan. I'd be ready to meet their terms long before the 100 hours was up.
Yeah, that wouldn't be so good. And if that magnetism really got hold of us, we couldn't do anything, huh, Joan?
Not a thing. The oxygen jets would be paralyzed and our air supply soon exhausted. The emergency escape locks would not operate, and we could not leave the ship. There would be only one thing to do.
Yes, I know what that would be. Surrender. I don't see how we could even do that. If we can't leave the sub or get a message out of here, how could we let our captain know we were ready to give up? How could we get to the surface to surrender?
There is one thing on board not affected by magnetism, our compressed air supply. Our only resort would be to fill the space between the inner and outer shells of the submarine with compressed air and float to the surface as the water was driven out of the stabilizing channels. Even then, we could not leave of our own will. It would be necessary for our captors to release us from without.
And now, Joan, will we be able to proceed toward home at a lower level?
To be sure, Mother, though our progress will be comparatively slow.
Just how slow do you call comparatively?
At a depth of 3,000 feet, the highest speed we may maintain consistently will be 11 knots.
11 knots? At a depth of over half a mile?
I do not hope to exceed that.
I shouldn't think you would. Golly, whiskers. 11 knots under half a mile of water? Well, our submarines think they're doing all right if they make 11 knots any time.
I am confident we may plan on continuing at that speed.
That's very wonderful, Joan, and certainly surpasses anything we'd ever dreamed of at home. But at that speed, will we be able to reach Los Angeles on our present supply of food and fuel?
I was wondering about that.
We will have more than enough fuel and food enough for a much longer time.
Well, say, Now that we're talking about food, and it looks like we might get a chance to eat a little without being shot at, how about having our dinner?
Are you hungry, Jerry?
Well, if I'm not, I'm sure mixed up in my feelings.
We should not need more food at this time.
Well, what's the matter? You're afraid these Euclidean pills will make us too fat?
We had sufficient food for a definite number of hours. It is not time for the next meal.
Never mind what the clock says. My stomach is a lot more apt to be right about my being hungry.
Yes, I'm going to add my voice to yours, Jerry. I could stand something to eat.
Well, if everyone else feels that way, I'll admit a huge appetite.
Looks like you'll just have to sit around and watch the rest of us eat, Joan.
I shall do nothing of the sort. You will open a vial labeled S4, Jerry.
S4? What's the S for?
Oh, Jerry, what a horrible pun.
Didn't you like it?
It was pretty bad, son.
A more completely descriptive adjective would be atrocious.
Okay, if you don't like my puns, I'll eat all 4 of the pills and none of you will get any fried chicken.
Do you remember where you got the last meal, Jerry?
Oh, yeah, right out of here. It sounds funny when you call a little bottle of 4 pills a meal.
They seem to satisfy us before, though, Jerry.
Jerry knows the food is satisfactory. He is merely exercising his talent for discussion.
I believe you've got his number, Joan.
Number? What is your number, Jerry?
Oh, never mind. Well, here's a little bottle labeled S4.
I'd like to ask what that label means, but I don't want to run into any plans, as Jerry did.
The letter S designates sunset, or time for the evening meal. And the figure 4 in Arabic numerals states the quantity. 4 people may be served from that vial.
S for sunset. What was the Z for on the bottle we had at lunch?
Z for zenith, as Euclideans take their noon repast when the sun is at meridian height. Roughly 12 noon.
And what will our breakfast be labeled?
The morning meal is designated as D for daylight, and the number of people following. Our breakfast will therefore be D4.
Huh. D4 for breakfast, Z4 for lunch, and S4 for dinner.
Does sound funny, Jerry, but I like what I had at lunch. Suppose you pass the steak.
How will you have your steak, Mrs. Gregory?
Just medium, Jerry. Not too well done.
Okay, 1 medium steak. You get pill number 1. What was yours, Joan? Steak, chop, macaroni?
I will have one of the pellets, Mr. Hall.
Mr. Hall?
You appear to be a gentleman of note, Jerry.
I don't think she meant it that way. But here's your bacon and eggs, Captain. I think I'll have some pancakes and honey for mine.
I shall now restrict the angle of our dive to 5 degrees. That will enable us to reach 3,000 feet in a short time and will also allow me adequate protection from the automatic pilot. I will soundproof the ship, fix the controls, and return to the stern section.
You must be very tired, Joan, and Jerry also.
I am tired, Mother.
Well, I have felt a lot more chipper than I do now. But if there's anything to do, I can stick around and help do it.
Not a thing in the world, Jerry. You run along with Joan, get some sleep. If you can sleep on those thin steel sheets they call beds.
If the fatigue is sufficient, those couches will seem soft.
I managed to get some rest on one.
The control is now entirely automatic, Captain. Call me if you observe anything you do not understand.
I guess I can handle it all, Joan. Wait a minute. How about the radio? Can we use it?
I would not attempt to send messages until we have reached a point much nearer Los Angeles. As we descend, it will be more and more difficult for the Euclideans to determine our exact position, so they will easily locate us when we rise to the surface at the end of our journey. I think we can well afford to wait a few hours before sending any messages.
Right you are, Joan. Sorry I brought it up.
Come on. Let's go back and iron out that steel in those bunks. Don't forget to call us after the 4-hour watch.
If there should be any extreme vibration of the submarine, you will call me at once, Captain?
Right, Joan. Now go on to sleep and let Pat and me worry.
Well, I may be foolish, Tex, but I'm not worrying a great deal.
You know, neither am I. Joan knows what she's talking about. If she says we can reach Los Angeles in this thing and be safe as long as we stay near the bottom, well, I know we can do just that.
But how we must have changed, Tex. All in the few short months since we left home on this cruise to find Joan.
Yes, we've seen a lot. Become accustomed to some mighty strange things during that time. Not that submarines are anything new, but this is certainly a far better boat than anything we've got at home.
Yes, better than we have at home. That's what I'm afraid of, Tex. Not pursuit and capture by those scientists. Not G-47 and his threats. I'm afraid because there's a terrible fascination in what we've learned.
I know just how you feel, Pat. I felt it, but I didn't like to say it. After all our worry and struggle to get back home, I wonder, will we ever be happy there again?
That's just what I meant, Tex. I'm afraid we've seen too much to give it all up. Euclidia is a wonderful place.
Exploring tomorrow. And now here is your guide to these adventures of the mind, the editor of Astounding Science Fiction magazine, John Campbell, Jr.
We all believe pretty solidly that sooner or later almost any problem you name is going to be solved. So, apparently all you'd have to do is just sort of stand by, and if you could wait, it would be solved for you. I don't think that works right. There's another thing to consider.
Exploring Tomorrow is presented by the Mutual Broadcasting System in cooperation with L&M, today's most exciting cigarette. L&M smokes cleaner, tastes best. Live modern. Smoke modern L&M. The Kraft Foods Company, makers of delicious new Kraft jellies and preserves. And Cape Coral, a beautiful waterfront wonderland on the western coast of Florida. In a moment, John Campbell returns with the story of Time Heals. If you're like most couples, you want the retirement years to be as rewarding as any in your lives. Years to do all the things you put off while the children were growing up. Well, those years can be rewarding if you start saving now. And the simplest way to save is by joining the payroll savings plan. Here's how it works. First, decide how much you want to put aside each week. Then, this amount is automatically set aside from your paycheck each payday and put into United States savings bonds. Today, Series E bonds are better than ever because the interest rate is higher, 3.25%, and because the maturity is under 9 years. Now you can get more faster. So make sure your retirement years are happy ones. Join the payroll savings plan where you work today. This message is brought to you as a public service.
Animals have trouble when it's cold. Of course, they grow warm fur. Human beings have got around the problem of having to grow that fur and not being able to get rid of it in the hot weather by using clothes instead. Now, that solved that problem very neatly. Of course, it did bring in the different problem of having to make clothes and having to figure out ways of raising cotton or wool. You know, when you do solve a problem, sometimes it involves setting up a complex thing to make the solution, and that may be a tougher problem than the problem you started with. Let's consider a fellow who tries walking out of time when he has a problem.
Our last night together.
Oh, I don't know, Dorothy, not necessarily. I might come out of that time field a year from now.
Or 50 years from now, when I'm old and tired and ugly, and you'll still be young. No, I think I'd rather you waited at least a century.
The traditional period in Elf Hill, I believe.
Oh, Jim, let's stop pretending to be so calm and gallant. There are only the two of us here. Let's just curse our luck for the vile thing it is.
There's also the champagne here. Mustn't shock the champagne. I'll open the next bottle.
Oh, but you have to be flip every minute, even now. Tomorrow you won't be Jim Hart, bright young advertising executive, wit wolf, an idol of Manhattan's more high-priced intelligentsia. Tomorrow you'll be frozen in a block of frozen time. Can't you let down the mask just for tonight?
But you see, my dear, there is no mask. This is me. I dare not admit anything else. I'll get that champagne. Oh, forgive my choice of music. Childish, perhaps, under the circumstances, but I'm entitled to a little melodrama, am I not? After all, this is literally a life and death proposition for me. crypt is right at the end of this corridor, Mr. Hart. Pretty far underground, are we, Doctor? Yes, besides being way off upstate. It's in case of, atomic bombs, rising sea level, whatever might happen. After all, this place may have to last for centuries. What's your trouble again, Mr. Hart? Inoperable cancer. My family physician said I'd be dead within a year. Unless a cure can be found. And that, of course, is what the crypt is for. Someday a cure will be found. Until then, you will lie here, snug, safe, unchanging, not even conscious of time passing in the outside world. Time heals all wounds, they say. And time is what we have the most of here. This is it. Just step up on that platform between those field coils. I'll flip a switch, and the next thing you know, you'll be in the future. Good enough. Mr. Hart, I was wondering if you have any last messages or... No, I said all my goodbyes yesterday, such as they were. I've had the sense to keep myself legally and emotionally unattached. Well, that should certainly give you an advantage over most of our patients up there in the future. Whatever the future is like. Good luck, Mr. Hart. Thanks. But we needn't be so theatrical. You may need luck more than I, Doctor. Here goes, then. Goodbye.
Exploring Tomorrow continues in just a moment.
Hello, everybody. This is Bill Stern, and I'd like to tell you about a tropical paradise where living is so easy that I intend to settle down and stay there for the rest of my life. The name of my dream city is Cape Coral on the unspoiled western coast of Florida. Just picture 2,000 acres of high, dry pine and palm land honeycombed with 50 miles of navigable waterways just teeming with fish they write books about. Boating and fishing facilities, private country club and yacht anchorage, a planned 18-hole golf course, tennis courts, and many other luxuries. You can buy a large 80 by 125-foot home site for only $990. Only $20 down and $20 a month and live here like a king on a retirement budget, or purchase now for possible profitable resale later. The complete Cape Coral story has been compiled for you in easy-to-read literature. It's yours free of charge. A postcard's all you need. Send it to me, Bill Stern. So long for now. I'll be seeing you at Cape Coral, Florida.
To get your free literature, write Bill Stern, Cape Coral, Post Office Box 230, New York 18, New York.
It's certainly a reasonable proposition. If a man can just step outside of time and wait, sooner or later they're going to develop methods to handle the problems that are facing him at the time. They will develop cures. The advance of civilization is sure to lead to a cure of the particular problem man has. That's a simple proposition, isn't it?
All right, no. Do can do step. I reckon. What? But it's gone. The doctor. Do understand me? The crypt is changed. Half empty. Crumbled plaster. Old. And those two men down by the controls, what? Why, they look half oriental. They're wearing kilts. The future. What year is this?
Oh, Merrick Walworth. Yeah.
What year is this? What year is this?
Todd Hart. You are Todd James Hart, are you not? It so says on the record.
Yes, I'm James Hart. And you?
I am called Harlem Rostam Dougal. My kitman here, he is called Walter Rostam Chang. We both belong to the Rostam kith. Do you understand?
No, I don't.
Be calm. It are a shock, I know. Here, lean on my arm.
I never expected so suddenly. What year is it?
2837.
What? 900 years.
Yes. There were dark ages and upheavals, and then during interplanetary era, the mechaniclastic government did not wish. But be assured, Tough Heart, we are friends.
Can you cure me?
Oh, yes.
we have a quick and easy cure for your disease. A synthetic virus which attacks only cancer cells. A month or two in the hospital, and you will be well again.
Well, that's good to know. That was the whole reason for my junket after all. 900 years.
I suggest we all go up to the surface now. The clinic is nearby.
All right. Say, how do you happen to speak my language, and your friend here doesn't?
Naturwise. Language changes in 900 years. Walter asked I should come interpret until you have learned modern speech. I am a linguist at Intergift Treaty Foundation. Most especially, I have studied the Old American language.
Old American.
Good morning, Tofart. I am your new nurse.
Well, hello there.
Tofart. I didn't know that you'd already learned the present-day language.
Oh, I've had several weeks with nothing else to do. Sheer desperation drove me to study it.
You must relax to get well. You know, good sir.
Oh, sure. Sunshine, fresh air, books, music, that's it. That's all I've seen. You don't even show television programs.
It was decided by the philosophic treaty 100 years ago that the unity of the family, and hence the kiss, was impaired by external entertainment.
I've heard that sort of thing a million times. I'm sick of it. I can't even get a smoke in this dump.
Smoke?
Tobacco, nicotine. Puff, 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 puff.
Oh. A chemipotent aerosol. No, I'm afraid, sir, that the biotech machine has not prescribed it for your case.
Oh, never mind. Well, at least you're a new face around here, and a remarkably, pretty one. What's your name?
I can't see that that's relevant, sir.
Of course it is.
My public name is Sarah Olaf Brona.
Well, don't be so stiff and formal. Come over here, sit down. I won't bite. Not very hard, anyway.
You're convalescing fast, I see.
Oh, sure. I'm practically a new man. Emphasis on man. Girl like you reminds me of that acutely.
I'm afraid I don't understand. Your usage is semantically empty.
Boy. Look, darling, I want to get better acquainted, that's all. I'm lonesome.
I shall consult the psychotechnic files, and if there's anyone registered with a compatible individuality, I will ask him to come discuss with you.
Discuss with me? Well, thanks. That'll be just great.
Exploring Tomorrow continues in just a moment.
This, my friends, is the modern sound in music. Swing turned into bop, and bop turned into progressive jazz.
Like into that live modern flavor. Live modern with the big red
L&M. Best taste and smoke you'll ever find. Made from the Southland's finest cigarette tobaccos. And you get that full, rich flavor coming at you through the miracle tip. Pure white inside, pure white outside. The patented filter. The patent number on every pack guarantees a more effective filter on today's L&M. L&M smokes cleaner. Tastes best. Light into that L&M flavor. You're really living when you do.
Yes, it's a simple proposition that if you just wait around, they'll find a cure for your problem. The trouble with the proposition is that it's a little too simple. The other half of the proposition is they'll find other things, too. They'll find other problems to work on. They won't be interested in the type of problems you've been used to.
Toad Hart. It is a pleasure to see you well again. Please honor me by accepting a seat.
Well, thanks, but you wouldn't have anything I could really sit on, would you? I mean,
I can't get used to this hard, low-legged stuff you call furniture nowadays.
Oh, my apologies, sir. I imagine one does need a lifetime to become habituated to a complex of postures.
Oh, well, forget it. It's a nice place you've got, Tobe Allen.
Oh, pardon me, sir. One friendly word of advice. It is considered rude to compliment a man on his home.
That's why I've come to you, Mr. Tobe Allen. Look, you've studied the history of my own period. You may be able to help me. The rest, they're very polite, but I'm frozen out. I just don't fit in. Everything I do seems to offend somebody, somehow.
You feel yourself isolated?
Well, I made my own way. In the 20th century, I had friends. At least I knew a lot of people. I knew my way around. I was well-to-do. Here, I'm living on a pension out of the charity fund. I'm not invited anywhere because I don't know how to behave. Your conversations, your ceremonies bore me stiff anyway. It was politely explained to me that I haven't a good enough heredity for any kith to consider me as a marriage prospect. What did you take me out of the crypt for? Why did you cure me if I'm to hang around here doing nothing for the rest of my life?
Oh, please, Tobe Hart, relax. I beg you.
Well, give me something to do. Just give me something to do. I'll prove myself. I can start with some simple job, work my way up, study, learn. I'll show you what I can do if you just give me a chance. From the weather station. From the one-man crew of a weather station on the Greenland ice cap. Supply a rocket once a month, and I give them all my reports. They try to make conversation. Well, what is there to talk about? All the snow I've been looking at. What the beautiful aurora up there in the night sky, the half-a-year night sky. Oh, sure. I'm sure they would discuss the aurora according to the soundest aesthetic semantics. Hey, shut up, you black in the... They're dead. It stopped. Do you hear me? How much do all the machines in this place do anyway? How much do they know? I'm one little man among 1,000 machines. How can I tell what they're thinking in those steel-brained cases? All I can do is copy numbers off their dials onto a printed form. Well, why isn't there a machine to do that, too? Why am I here at all? Charity, sure, make work. Where's that bottle? At least they have the decency to leave me some bottles. Here, I know I left it. Well, why quit anyhow? Here's a snug home, ample food, books, plenty to read, plenty to drink. Man, I got a maid. There's even a pretty good 10-ounce tape here somewhere. It's going to be 10-ounce. Only no green leaves will ever spring out of me. I don't say it in German. Sure. Dead language. English is a dead language, too. I'm a dead language. Well, that's the way the civilization crumbles. Drink up, Dorothy. Here's to us.
Doesn't move. He doesn't move at all, nurse.
Leave him in his seat, please. It isn't far to go now, is it?
No, we'll land at the foot in another half an hour. But what could be wrong with him, nurse?
Obviously some mental breakdown. Nobody seems to know just what.
I think it's called a catatonic state. I don't know. He's insane, at least. The biotech at the Greenland station asked me to bring him back since I knew him best. This sort of thing isn't understood anymore. For better than a century, we've had a well-adjusted civilization. People simply don't go insane. At least not in this rather horrible fashion.
And so no one has any idea how to treat it.
Exactly. Oh, we could try various chemicals and whatever else occurred to us. But we would be working blindly with a grave risk of damaging his brain beyond repair.
So we are putting him back in the crypt.
Yes. The next cycle of civilization. 1,000 years from now, 10,000, 100,000 years. They will know how to cure James Hart.
But will he feel any more at home with them than with us?
Less, I should think. So he may break down again. So badly that even they can't cure him at that time. Then they will have to put him back in the crypt.
God help him.
God help us all.
John Campbell returns in just a moment. Remember how Grandma used to boil jellies and preserves on the stove in the kitchen? What a wonderful aroma. But you know that wonderful aroma was really flavor boiling away. And lots of folks still boil flavor away when they're making jellies and preserves. Not Kraft. Kraft jellies and preserves are cool cooked at temperatures way below boiling to keep the flavor many others boil away. That's why Kraft jellies and preserves have that true fresh-picked flavor, a flavor you can add to your favorite foods. There are so many ways to use these fresh, delicious flavors, such as a mouth-watering strawberry coffee cake. It tells you how in the free recipe folder. Flavor magic for your favorite foods with Kraft jellies and preserves. Just write to Kraft Jellies and Preserves, Box 5310, Chicago 77, Illinois. Box 5310, Chicago 77. Do it now before you forget. And be sure to get Kraft Jellies and Preserves. Exploring Tomorrow was presented by the Mutual Broadcasting System in cooperation with L&M, today's most exciting cigarette. L&M smokes cleaner, tastes best. Live modern. Smoke modern. L&M. The Kraft Foods Company, makers of delicious new Kraft Jellies and Preserves. And Cape Coral, a beautiful waterfront wonderland on the western coast of Florida.
Yes, as time goes by, things do change, but the fundamental things apply. And the most fundamental of all, really, is you can't walk out on a problem and just let it take care of itself. By the time it gets taken care of, it's ready to take care of you, but good.
Join us each Wednesday and Friday night for a fascinating adventure in Exploring Tomorrow. Heard in our cast tonight were Lawson Zerbe, Connie Lembeck, and Sam Gray. Script was by Paul Anderson. Produced and directed by Sanford Marshall here in New York.
This is Mutual, the world's largest network.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, in whom Lois Lane might well have confided before accepting an invitation to visit Playland. A gang of criminals endangered because one of their members, a girl named Dixie Lamar, had shot a federal agent, is hiding out at Playland, an amusement park in Metropolis. Discovering from a newspaper photograph that Lois Lane is almost a perfect double for Dixie Lamar, Dr. Bly, the cunning leader of the gang, conceived a scheme of having Lois pay for Dixie's crime. Posing as Mr. Hemingway, a press agent, Dr. Bly phoned Lois and invited her to appear at Playland that night as a guest of honor. Flattered, Lois accepted and asked Jimmy Olsen and young Dick Grayson, who was really Robin, Batman's companion, to accompany her. But wishing Clark Kent to be surprised when he read of the honor accorded her, Lois told him nothing, just made several mysterious remarks to him as she left. As we continue now, in the Daily Planet City room, Kent is questioning Beanie Martin, the copy boy. Listen.
Beanie, did anything unusual occur around here while Mr. White and Jim and I were in Maine?
Unusual?
Yes.
Well, let's see, Mr. Kent. Well, the Dodgers lost a couple of more ball games, but I guess that ain't very unusual.
No, I guess not. Anyway, I mean in the office, Beanie. Did anything, out of the ordinary happen? Something to do with Miss Lane?
Nothing that I know about. Why?
Well, I don't know. Miss Lane made a funny remark a few minutes ago. Something about the fact that I was going to find out that I'm not nearly as good a reporter as I think I am.
Well, say, maybe she got a tip on some big story and she's going to scoop you on it.
Well, I was thinking of that, but she said something had happened while the chief and Jim and I were in Maine, and...
I think she was just trying to get your goat, like she's always doing.
Well, maybe.
Sure. I heard her kidding you, saying she'd see you in jail.
Yes, that was odd, too. I never heard her use that expression before.
Well, she was kidding, see? Like when somebody says, I'll be suing you, or don't take any wooden nickels.
It could be, but I've got to see the chief now. Thanks very much, Beanie. You're probably right.
Relieved, but still faintly puzzled, Clark Kent proceeds to Perry White's office. Meanwhile, at the wheel of her roadster, with Jimmy Olsen and young Dick Grayson beside her, Lois Lane is driving along River Road toward Playland, whose tall spires and multitude of lights glitter gaily in the night sky.
Look, Miss Lane. Look, Dick. You can see Playland now.
Uh-huh. Looks gay, doesn't it, Jim?
Uh-huh. I like bright lights.
Just a city boy at heart.
Oh, I like the country, too, but bright lights always do something to me. Hey, look, Dick. There are the towers of the giant coaster. Boy, is that a wicked ride.
Yeah. Well, Dick doesn't seem very interested.
Well, he keeps looking back down the road. Hey, wake up, dummy. Playland's ahead of us, not behind.
I know, but he's still following us.
Huh?
What did you say, Dick?
The little skinny fellow with the big ears. He's still following us.
Following us?
Well, what little skinny fella? Where?
In that sedan right behind us. Been following us ever since we left the restaurant.
He has?
Are you sure, Dick?
Yes. I didn't mention it before, Miss Lane, because I wanted to make sure he was following us. I noticed him in the restaurant when we were having dinner. He kept watching us. As soon as we got up, he did, too.
Oh, but that doesn't mean that
his car was parked across the street from the restaurant. As soon as we started, he made a U-turn. He's been trailing us ever since. Holy mackerel, what's he trailing us for? I don't know. There, see? He took the same turn we did. Yeah, he did.
Now, look, has it occurred to either of you that the gentleman might be going to Playland, too? Thousands of people go there, you know.
Oh, sure, but Dick says he was in the same restaurant
with us. The Blue Heron is a very popular restaurant. You may not have noticed, but there were quite a few other people eating there.
He's following us, I tell you. I know. Batman and I have been followed plenty of times. Batman and you? I've read so much about Batman and Robin, I can just about tell what it feels like to be trailed.
Oh, now, Dick, after all.
Listen to him. You better watch out, Dick. You read so much about Batman and Robin, first thing you know, you'll start to think you're Robin. That would be funny, wouldn't it? You can say that again, brother. Oh, Dick's villain wants to pass us, Miss Lane.
I hear him. Well, what do you say now, Dick? It looks like he's going to stop trailing.
No, Miss Lane. He's cutting in. Come over!
Golly. Gee.
Okay, he's gone. Oh, boy, was that a close one. I'll say it was. He tried to force us into the ditch.
Oh, nonsense, Dick. He was forced to cut in by that other car coming round the curve at the same time. It was way out in the middle of the road.
Well, I suppose I could be wrong.
Of course you were. Now you just forget it. Here's Playland. We're going to have fun and a big surprise.
Oh, yeah, you said something about a surprise before. What is it?
You'll find out soon enough, Jim. And I want you to remember everything that happened so that you can tell Clark tomorrow.
Tell him what?
Just be patient. It won't be long now. Oh, look, this is a break. Somebody left us a parking spot right by the entrance gate.
I'll say it's a break. Oh, boy, listen to all the music and stuff. Let's find a shooting gallery. Then I want to take a ride on the giant roller coaster.
You can do all that after the surprise. Come on, Jim. Come on, Dick.
Jim, look. Huh? What? By the gate. Mr. Big Ears. He's talking to the old guy with white hair and dark glasses. Are you still worrying about him? See, they're both looking at us now. There goes Big Ears into the park in a hurry. I tell you, that fellow is up to something. I tell you, you're nuts. Let go my sleeve. I want to find out about this surprise Miss Lane promised us.
You and your surprises. Hey, look. The old guy is stopping Miss Lane.
Well, so what? He probably knows her. Honest, Dick, you're acting positively goofy
Well, I'm
tonight.
very happy to know you, Mr. Hemingway. Oh, Jim, Dick, this is Mr. Hemingway, Jim Olson, and Dick Grayson.
Oh, I'm pleased to meet you, Mr. Hemingway.
Glad to know you.
Very happy to make your acquaintance, young gentlemen. Now, if you'll all just come this way.
Mr. Hemingway is the press agent for Playland Boys. He's in charge of the little surprise we have for you.
Oh, he is? Well, what is the surprise, Mr. Hemingway?
Don't tell him. I want him to see for himself.
Oh, I have no intention of telling him, Miss Lane. When everything is ready, he'll find out for himself.
I don't like this Hemingway guy, Jim. Why not? Hey, snap out of it, Dick. Talk about your sad sacks. You take the cake tonight.
Where does the, take place, Mr. Hemingway?
Near the bandstand, half an hour. Meanwhile, I've arranged for you and your young friends, too, of course, to enjoy a few bar rides with our guests.
Oh, that sounds good to me.
Yes, it would be fun.
How about the giant roller coaster, Mr. Hemingway?
Oh, that's a little too wild for my taste.
Oh, well, look, you go on something else, Miss Lane.
The roller coaster entrance is quite a distance away. There would hardly be time for that before the big surprise.
Oh, gee.
Meanwhile, there are some very interesting rides close by.
Step up and get your tickets for the sensational River of Horrors, ladies and gentlemen.
River of Horrors? Mercy, what's that?
Say, that's the ride Beanie Martin told me about. He says it's swell. A boat goes through a long, dark tunnel, and skeletons jump out of the dock.
Skeletons?
Phony ones, of course. Come on, let's go on.
I was going to recommend this ride.
Sounds okay to me. Oh, I don't know. Don't be a sissy, Miss Lane. Nothing can happen to you. Can it, Mr. Hemingway?
Of course not. I'm sure you'll find this ride the most unique experience.
I'm not afraid. I just don't want to wrinkle my toes before I'm presented. Oh, all right. Since the boys want this ride, I'll go.
Oh, now you're talking. Come on, Dick.
Right this way. There's a boat waiting. I'll see that you three have it for yourself.
Hot dog. This is going to be fun.
You said it.
I hope so.
All right, step into the boat. One in each seat, please. Guests of the house, Joe.
Okay. Come on, Miss Lane. I'll help you. You sit in the middle seat, Miss Lane.
Now, don't worry about anything. There's a slow current that will take the boat through the tunnel back here. Yes, I'll give you a start. There you are. I'll be waiting for you, Miss Lane.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Hemingway.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Hemingway. So long.
So long. So long, and a happy voyage. Yes, a happy voyage. I'll be waiting for you, Miss Lane. Oh, yes, indeed. I'll be waiting.
Quickly, as the boat vanishes into the dark tunnel, Dr. Bly, who has been masquerading as a white-haired press agent, hurries behind the high artificial rocks which enclose the River of Horrors.
We'll return in a moment for the startling climax of today's episode. But first, here is your announcer.
Say, this has been a busy day, Pep Gang, what with Eddie losing his Kellogg's pep buttons and everything. But there's one thing I want to let you in on before we go back to the exciting adventures of Superman. You know, I've been getting letters from kids all over the country who are so pleased with the new second series of Army, Navy, and Marine Air Squadron insignia and warplane buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep. Like that dramatic-looking Army 44th Fighter Squadron insignia, for instance, with a fancy grinning devil's head and the outstretched red and black wings. Boy, is that a humdinger. But now, you can't buy them anywhere. No, they come only in packages of Kellogg's Pep, that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal. Ask Mom to get a new supply of Kellogg's Pep tomorrow. Then open the package and look for your prize, an exciting Air Squadron insignia or warplane button. You'll find a button in every package. It's a prize, especially for you, from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman.
At Playland Amusement Park near Metropolis, a smooth-cultured gang leader named Dr. Bly, disguised as a white-haired press agent, lured Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, and Dick Grayson into taking a ride on the River of Horrors. Our three friends, sitting one behind the other in a small boat, have drifted into a long, dark tunnel.
This is where Beanie said the skeletons jump out at you. Now, don't get scared, Miss Lane.
Scared? Don't be silly.
Eek! What's that? One of the skeletons.
Oh, golly.
It's covered with luminous paint. I thought you weren't scared.
Well, I wasn't. It just seemed so close.
The next one won't scare you so much, Miss Lane.
I tell you, I wasn't scared, Dick.
Oh, no? Should have heard yourself yip, huh, Dick?
Oh, she thought I was going to grab her.
I did not. Eek! No! Let me go! Oh, let me go!
Dick, the skeleton grabbed Miss Lane.
Yes.
Help, Miss Lane.
Stop it.
Miss Lane,
Stop
Yelling frantically, Jimmy Olsen and Dick Grayson are carried away from the spot where Lois Lane suddenly disappeared, snatched out of the boat by skeleton hands. Where is Lois? And what will happen to her?
There's more mystery and excitement ahead for you in tomorrow's episode, fellows and girls. So don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station, and listen to The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow The Adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the makers of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System. Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman. And today, his young friends, Jimmy Olsen and Dick Grayson, whom we know is really the famous Robin, are alarmed over the sudden disappearance of their companion, Lois Lane. Hunted by the police for shooting a federal agent, Dixie Lamar, member of a criminal gang, was hiding out in Playland, a Metropolis amusement park, with Dr. Bly, the leader of the gang. Seeing a photograph of Lois Lane in the Daily Planet and discovering that Lois was an almost perfect double for Dixie, Dr. Bly conceived the scheme of pinning the murder on Lois. Posing as a press agent, he invited the girl reporter to be guest of honor at the amusement park that night. And when Lois arrived with Jimmy Olsen and Dick Grayson, who was really Robin, Batman's young companion, the three were given a ride on the River of Horrors. But as their boat glided through a dark tunnel, a luminous skeleton rose from the darkness and seized Lois. As we join them now, Jimmy and Dick are unable to stop the boat, which is without oars and is being carried along by a slow current. Listen.
Oh, my gosh, Dick. What do we do? We've got to get help, Jim, and come back and find her. Get help where? How? We're in a dark tunnel. I can't see a thing. We're coming to the end of the tunnel. See, just ahead. Huh? Where? Oh, yeah. Leaping lizards do something. Make this boat go fast? We can't. There are no oars or anything. Don't lose your head, Jim. We'll be out in a minute. Don't lose my head. This Lane is gone. That skeleton got her. I don't understand it. Here, we're coming to the end of the tunnel. Sit down. Tip us over. No, I won't. See, there are rocks lining the river outside the tunnel. If we can grab hold of them and pull the boat over, we can climb out and not have to drift all the way back to the end. Oh, that's a good idea. Now, try to grab the rock. All right. Careful, though. Watch it. Look out, Jim. Boy, it's a good thing that rock was there. I'd have gone into the drink. I'll say. Okay, we can get out now. Come on. All right. I'm with you. Oh, golly. Poor Miss Lane. Don't worry, we'll find her. But where is she? Jeepers, that skeleton. Here's the midway. Jump down, Jim. It's only a few feet. Okay. Now, which way? This way, back to the entrance. Well, at least one good thing, I didn't bust my sundial wristwatch. Oh, is that what that thing on your wrist is? Yeah, it tells time by the sun. Hey, that's swell. Well, where'd you get it? Batman gave it to me. Who?
Hey, now, you two. Hold on.
Oh, wait, Dick. It's a cop.
A cop, am I? Ah, look at here, you two, small pig. What do you mean climbing up in them rocks?
Gee, officer, you got here just in time.
You bet I did.
A young lady disappeared in the tunnel. A skeleton grabbed her. And then it disappeared, too. Come on, officer. Yeah, you've got to find her.
Wait a minute. Let go of me sleeves. Now, there's big signs saying to keep off them rocks. Can't you read?
Sure, but... A skeleton got Miss Lane in the tunnel on the River of Horrors. You've got to help us find her. Come on.
So a skeleton got someone, did he? Now, what kind of malarkey are you trying to give me?
It's true. You see, we were in a boat with Miss Lane. And when we got into the tunnel, a skeleton jumped out of the darkness and grabbed her. And then they both disappeared.
Is that so now? Sure, and I ought to run you both in.
First for climbing on the rocks and then for telling a whopper like that.
But it's true, I tell you. The skeleton still got her. Don't just stand there.
Don't be after telling me what to do.
Well, we'll do something. Come on back to the entrance of the River of Horrors with us. We'll get another boat and go after Miss Lane.
Where we'll go is...
Come on.
To Joe Hanson, who owns the River of Horrors concession. I don't believe you, Mike. But we'll find out what this nonsense is all about.
I only wish it was nonsense. So do I.
Hey, Joe. Joe Hanson.
Hello, Riley.
I understand them wooden skeletons of yours have been getting into mischief.
Sure.
That fellow saw us getting a boat? Yeah. I remember him. Listen, mister.
These two kids want me to pinch one of your skeletons for kidnapping, Joe.
That's a good joke.
It's no joke. It sure isn't.
They say they was taking a ride in one of your boats with somebody.
Miss Lane. Lois Lane.
And when they got into the tunnel, one of them skeletons grabbed her and took her away.
That's right. Just a few minutes ago. Please help us find her, mister. Please.
What kind of a gag is this?
It's true. The skeleton got Miss Lane.
How could a wood and paper skeleton grab anybody? Are you nuts?
No. Honest. You see...
I don't like these kind of jokes. They're bad for business. Go on, beat it.
No, wait. You've got to listen.
I don't have to listen to crazy stuff like that. Get them out of here, Riley. They're bad for business.
You say they didn't take a ride in one of your boats, Joe?
No, they didn't take a ride tonight. I would have remembered them if they did.
You hear that? Now, come on. Beat it, you kid.
No, wait. You must remember us. We got into the boat less than 5 minutes ago. You were there when we got in the boat.
I see you didn't ride in one of my boats tonight. If you say you did, where's your ticket stub? Anybody rides in my boats, they keep the stubs and give them back to me when they finish the ride. Where's your stubs?
Oh, we didn't have any tickets. Don't you remember? Mr. Hemingway brought us here and said to you that our ride was on the house. You said okay.
Is that right, Joe?
I don't give rides for nothing. And I never heard of any Mr. Hemingway either.
Well, you did, too. You know him. He's the press agent here. The press agent of the whole amusement park.
Now, I know you kids are nuts. There's no Mr. Hemingway, the press agent of Playland.
Just a minute, Joe. What did this Mr. Hemingway look like, boys?
Well, he's a pretty old man. He's got a deep voice and white hair, and he wears dark glasses.
Okay, I've heard enough. The press agent of Playland is named Harry Spencer, and he's a young fella.
But I tell you...
And he ain't got a deep voice either. Now, I ought to run you kids in for this. But I'm going to close my eyes and count to 3.
Well,
by the time I finish counting, you'd better be where I can't see you, or I will run you in.
Well, listen, please. You've got to believe
I'm going to start counting. 1.
We don't believe us. What are we going to do, Jim?
You kids better beat it, that's what.
2.
I know what I'm going to do. Come on, Jim. Where? I'm going to call back. Somebody will find Miss Lane. Mr. Kent. I'll call him. Come on. I see some phone booths behind that.
They gone, Joe?
Yeah, crazy kid.
Boys will be boys. It is no harm done with a bit of a joke now. I think I put the fear of the law in the young devil, but I'll be back in a short while to make sure they ain't bothering you no more. Come on.
So long, Riley, and much obliged.
Joe.
Dr. Bly.
Told you not to mention my name.
You kind of scared me sneaking up like that. Good thing you took off your white wig and dark glasses before the cops spotted you.
Never mind that.
What did you do with the girl, Miss Lane?
No names, I said. She's in a safe place. What happened to the 2 boys who were with her? The boat was empty when it came back through the tunnel.
I know. They climbed out over the rocks when they got out of the tunnel, and they got a cop. Cop? Yeah, Riley, the one who just left here. I stalled him off, all right. He thinks the kids were joking.
You fool. You shouldn't let them get away.
Well, what could I do? They came back here with Riley.
Oh, you fool, you stupid fool. If they get away, they'll spoil everything.
Well, what could I do, Doctor?
Shut up. Which way did they go? Quick.
Over to those phone booths behind the hot dog stand. They were going to call a Mr. Kent and somebody named Bat. They started over just before you showed up.
Good. May not be too late then. Now remember, you never saw the girl. Those 2 boys didn't ride in your boat.
Swiftly, Dr. Bly turns and hurries through the gay crowds to the telephone booths, where Jimmy and Dick are excitedly calling Clark Kent and Batman for aid. We'll return in a moment for the dramatic climax of today's episode. But first, here is your announcer.
Hey there, Pep Gang. Are you getting your complete sets of Kellogg's Pep insignia and warplane buttons in shape? I mean the new 2nd series of 22 buttons. Boy, they're real beauties in 4 sparkling colors of red, blue, black, and yellow against a pure white background. And you know, it's a good idea to swap them and get the ones you need to fill out the series. For example, suppose you have an extra insignia of the 17th Bombardment Squadron. That's the comical-looking pilot with goggles leaning on an upended bomb. But you need the 56th Bombardment Squadron button. And suppose your pal has an extra one of those. Then the thing to do is to trade with him fast. That way you both get the buttons you're looking for. And what a thrill you'll get when you can show the rest of the gang that you have the whole second series. But remember, gang, you can't buy these buttons anywhere. No, sir, they come only in packages of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. So ask Mom to see that there's plenty of Kellogg's Pep at your house. Inside, you'll find your prize, an Air Squadron insignia or warpaint button. There's a button in every package. It's a prize for you from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. And, gang, there's just one more thing. It's very important for you to tune in Monday at this same time for some big news I'll have about a wonderful new Kellogg's Pep prize. Something you'll all go wild about. The thing you've all been waiting for. Don't forget now, boys and girls, get in on the big Superman news Monday.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. It is 15 minutes since Jimmy Olsen telephoned Clark Kent from Playland. At once, Kent streaks to the amusement park as Superman. And now, having secretly assumed his guise of the mild-mannered reporter, he is pacing restlessly up and down before the ticket booth of the River of Horror.
Step right up, ladies and gentlemen, and get your tickets for the thrill of a lifetime.
Jim said he'd meet me right here.
A most sensational, electrifying ride on the River of Horror.
I don't see him anywhere.
It'll make you laugh.
Dick Grayson either.
Your blood. It's a killer, spine chiller, and it only costs
Oh, they
a
can
dime,
see.
a cent part of a dollar. Step up, folks. Step up and get your tickets. Step up before they're all gone.
Pardon me.
If you want a ticket, mister, get it at the booth.
No, it isn't that. Have you been around here long? Tonight, I mean?
Sure, all night. I own this concession. Why?
Well, I was supposed to meet a young fellow here. Two of them, in fact. Jim Olsen and Dick Grayson. I wonder if you
Never
might have...
heard of him. Move along now. Can't you see I'm busy?
Oh, wait a minute. This is important. This one chap, Jim, said something serious happened. He's 16. He's thin, freckled
Don't know him, I said. All right, folks. Here's an empty boat right over here. One at a deal and one at a time. Don't crowd now, folks.
I don't understand this. He said he and Dick would wait right here. I don't like this. I don't like it at all.
Step up, folks, and get your tickets before they're all gone. Only one dime. The killer, diller, thriller...
Minute by minute, his fears rising, Clark Kent waits mainly for Jimmy Olsen. What has happened to the boy reporter? And to Dick Grayson, who is in reality Robin, Batman's young companion? And where is Lois Lane? Don't miss Monday's episode, fellows and girls, when the famous Batman joins forces with Superman in a thrilling search for their friends. Tune in, same time, same station for The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow The Adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the makers of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Publications. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Stand by to raise ship. Blast off. -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0!
As roaring rockets blast off to distant planets and far-flung stars, we take you to the age of the conquest of space with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
Arriving in the small Venusian settlement of Goldstown for a quiet holiday,
Space Cadets Tom Corbett, Roger Manning, and Astro found themselves battling a gang of killers who were trying to hijack the entire supply of gold from the neighboring mine. Despite the menace of giant robots, the boys managed to board one of the armed freighters, and in the fight that followed, the gang was beaten. But they escaped with half of their loot in 2 remaining ships, another freighter and a space yacht. Fearing they would escape into space, the cadets followed them in the captive freighter still laden with gold. And now, far above Venus, they try to find some trace of the enemy ships.
Control deck to radar bridge. Check in.
Radar bridge, aye. What do you want, Tom?
Haven't you picked up those ships on the radar yet, Roger?
Look, Tom, I'm good, but I'm not a genius. I just got up here. Give me a chance.
Okay, Hotshot. Don't fuse your tubes. They shouldn't be too far away. We blasted off only 15 minutes after they did.
You just hold your rockets, Junior. As soon as I spot them, I'll let you know. End transmission.
Hi, Tom. How are we doing? Haven't picked up the trail yet, Astro. How's the power department?
Oh, very good for a freighter. There's a power booster gimmick for blast-offs that's new to me.
Hey, another special gimmick. This is some ship.
What do you mean?
The space radio they've got.
A radio? Hey, have you contacted the Solar Guard?
Well, that's just it. We can't.
You mean it isn't working?
Well, not exactly. Here, the receiver's set for Venusport. Now, listen.
But that's just hash.
Uh-huh. The set scrambles a regular broadcast into what you heard. And Roger says it's the same way in reverse with the transmitter. When we call the guard, all they hear is a faint normal static, not even annoying enough to check on.
Oh, I get it. On the same kind of receiver, the message would be in the clear, huh?
Right.
Automatic scrambler and descrambler circuits. First I've ever seen.
Quite a system, eh, Astro? That gang never had to worry about their messages being intercepted.
Cold-blooded killers, and yet they have things like this. To say nothing of the robots. They're going to be tough to lick.
Radar bridge control deck, check in.
Control deck, aye. Find them, Roger?
I've got news for you. I've scanned the whole area in front of us and on each side. There are no ships anywhere.
What?
Those killers have disappeared from space.
Oh, great. Don't tell me they have another gimmick. Something that makes them invisible.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by. Spaceman, how would you like to have pictures of all your favorite Space Cadets? Well, just listen. Right now at your grocery store, you'll find a picture cutout of one of your favorite Space Cadets on the back of every regular-sized package of Kellogg's Pep. Just think, besides getting the best-tasting cereal you ever put a spoon to, you get a picture cutout on the back of the package. Say, that's really something. You can get a full-length cutout of Roger Manning, Astro, Tom Corbett, and Dr. Joan Dale. And when you cut each picture out, you can mount them on a stand and put them in a Space Cadet setting. Draw a picture of the Polaris, and then show Astro climbing up to the power deck. You can show Roger on the radar bridge and Tom Corbett on the control deck. Each cadet picture shows an official Space Academy uniform, too, even a spacesuit. It's a swell collection, and it's yours with a swell-tasting cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Ask Mom to get Kellogg's Pep at the grocery store. Then have Pep for breakfast every morning. While you're scooping up that swell whole wheat and malt flavor, you can be looking at the Space Cadet on the back of the package. Then, when the box is empty, you're all ready to cut out the picture and set it up. So don't delay. Start your Space Cadet collection right away. Get a package of the build-up wheat cereal, Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep. Rocketing through space far above Venus in the captured freighter, Tom, Roger, and Astro are confident that they can track down the criminals who brought death and destruction to Gold Town. Until suddenly, Roger reports from the radar bridge that the killers have disappeared from space.
That's impossible, Roger. Ships can't just disappear.
If you don't believe me, Junior, suppose you get on this radar and check up yourself.
Well, all right. Don't overheat your tubes. I know you've been riding that scanner, but it's fantastic.
Well, they could just be further ahead than we figured, Tom. We're packing all that gold, and there's a lot of inertia to overcome.
No, Astro. Their freighter has about the same load. The space yacht could go much faster, but...
I got it, you guys. If they went twice as fast, they still wouldn't be out of range so quick.
Then, with all the scientific gadgets this gang has, maybe I was right.
That they really can disappear? I doubt that, Astro. We've missed a point somehow.
I didn't. There are no ships within radar range.
Wait a minute. Sure there are. Only radar can't spot them.
What are you talking about?
Well, there must be some ships flying over Venus right now on regular flights. But with the whole planet behind them, they wouldn't show up on our screen.
Naturally not, Junior, but we're talking about ships in space.
Are we? Suppose they double back to Venus.
But why, when they just escaped from there?
Because it's the last place anyone would look for them. We didn't, but we'd better start now. Astro, get below and give me power on the steering vanes. We've got to turn this crate around fast.
Right. Ready in a minute.
You know, Roger, that gang must have a hideaway. Probably they've nearly reached it by now.
Yeah, but to cover all of Venus is a big order, Tom.
Well, maybe we can pick up something on this radio receiver of theirs.
Go on. They wouldn't be stupid enough to use radios.
Say, Mike, no ordinary set can intercept those scrambled transmissions. And they don't know that we're after them in one of their own ships.
By the rings of Saturn, maybe you're right.
Come on down here and start sweeping the radio band, Roger, and let's hope we get a break.
Well, Tom, getting anything?
Not yet, Astro. Roger's been sweeping the whole band, and he's rigged up some instruments to get a fix on any signal.
Hey, wait a minute. I think I'm picking up something now.
Order to open the entrance in 30 seconds.
Hey, listen, quiet, Astro.
Take the freighter in first. We will follow. And transmission.
That's it. We nearly missed it. I'll say. Sounds like they're ready to duck into their hideout. Did you get a fix, Roger?
Not a real one. Impossible without triangulation. All I can show you is the general area on this map of Venus. Let's see now. It's about in this direction. Maybe 50 miles either way. And the distance, well, that could be anywhere from here to, say, here.
Great Jupiter, we'll have to cover about 5,000 square miles.
Best I can do, Junior.
And it's right in the middle of the worst jungle on Venus. Well, at least we know the area. Maybe we can spot their installation. It doesn't look too hopeful, but we have to try. Full space speed, fellas. Let's take a shot at it.
How many square inches are there in 5,000 square miles of jungle, Tom?
Too many, Roger.
There sure are when you have to look over every one of them, even from up here. But you ought to feel at home, Astro.
Ah, stow it, Hotshot. To listen to you, anybody'd think there was nothing on Venus but jungle.
If I didn't think so before, I sure do now.
Space dust. I'm sick of this, too. Tom, we've covered the whole area without spotting any camouflage for their hideout. We're on the wrong track. Not if the installation is underground, because then nature furnishes the camouflage.
Underground? Here?
Why not?
If they're underground, we can't possibly spot them. We might as well pick up our marbles and go home.
No, we can't leave.
Do you realize that the gold towners must have contacted the Solar Guard by now? The guard's probably headed out into space right now for nothing.
Yeah, I know.
Well, let's get out of here and call them back.
Roger, if we leave, the killers will probably pop out and really get away this time.
Why should they give up their cozy little nest?
Don't you suppose they spotted us prowling around here? They won't figure we're just admiring the scenery.
Tom's right. They're probably just waiting for us to beat it so they can make a break. But we can't stay here forever. Our fuel won't hold out.
I've been thinking about that, too. If we could only get them to come out while we're still here.
Fat chance. Well, there's only one thing left. You work your great brain while Astro and I work over the radio.
Yeah, we can try to change those scrambling circuits so we can call the guard. Think you can get it done in time?
No, but at least we'll be doing something.
Well, go ahead. No, don't touch it.
Watch it, Astro. The boy's gone space happy.
The radio, that's it. That's the way to get those snakes out of their hole.
What do you mean, Tom?
Look, we know we can't contact the Solar Guard on this trick set, but the gangsters don't know we know it. You follow me?
Yeah, what about it?
Well, if I pretend I'm trying to call the guard and slip in some information to interest the killers, they'll hear it and come out with a ship.
How do you know they'll hear it?
I don't, but I imagine they're listening.
And what's this information that's so interesting?
Just listen. Turn on the set, Roger. Solar Guard headquarters from Space Cadet Tom Corbett. Come in, please. Solar Guard from Cadet Corbett. Acknowledge. We still can't hear your answer, but assume you can hear us. I request emergency priority on the following message. We've located the Gold Town criminals in Venus Sector 92 Southwest and are patrolling the area. Please send help immediately. Repeat, immediately. Our position is dangerous. We have a full cargo of gold aboard, and all gun controls are jammed. Come at once. End transmission. Well, that does it, fellas. I hope.
Hey, what was that about our gun controls being jammed?
That was the clincher, Astro. If those yellow space rats think we're helpless, they should walk into our trap.
And we're the bait, huh?
Right.
But sometimes a trap doesn't go off. And then the bait gets eaten. Tom. Roger. Take a look through this viewport. What's the matter? Something mighty funny. Way over there, a whole section of jungle is sinking. The underground entrance. It worked. They're coming out. There's a ship blasting off. Hey, it's the space yacht. Good. I hoped it would be. Yeah, that yacht can run circles around this tug. But we have more firepower, and they think we don't have any. Don't worry, Roger. Who's worried? Great galaxy. The freighter's coming out, too. Uh-oh, now I am worried. I didn't think they'd use the ship with the gold. Looks as if they've managed to unload it somehow. It's making good time. We've still got our cargo. That means even the freighter can outrun and outmaneuver us, Tom. Yes, I'd better change our course. Look as if we're making a run for it, so they don't suspect our guns are really working. I'd better get below and start nursing the rockets. Okay, Astro. One thing we'll need is plenty of power. You'll get it, Tom. The yacht's drawing way ahead of the freighter now. Well, that won't do. We'll have to get them together. But if we could pick off the yacht first, then the freighter would know our guns are working. I wanted to come as a little surprise to both of them.
Okay, Tom. Power deck ready.
Right, Astro. Full space speed.
All right. Full space speed.
Now we'll climb. She's pretty sluggish. Hey, Tom. The yacht fired a warhead when they saw us move. We're still out of range, though. We won't be for long. Are they climbing after us? Sure, and their rate of climb is faster. Power deck.
Power deck, all right.
Stand by steering rockets, Astro. 2 turns to port, as sharp as this ship can make.
Well, then we'll be heading back where we came from.
That's the idea. Get ready. The yacht's coming on range now, catching up fast. And now's the time. Okay, Astro. Short blast for first turn.
Coming up.
This is like turning a barge. There. All right, Astro, again.
Okay. Coming up.
Come on, baby, get around. Roger, where's the yacht? A little above and behind us. Pretty close. Fine, and the freighter? That was her getting into the act. We better get on the starboard gun. I'll take them. You take the port side. The yacht will be there in any second. But don't fire yet. Wow, that one rocked us. What are you waiting for, Tom? See the whites of their eyes? Almost. I'm cutting right between them. We can fire from both sides. Great idea if they don't get us first. Coming up. You ready? Sure. Hey, the yacht's starting to dive. Okay, open fire. Blast it, missed. I nailed the freighter astern. She's down to our speed now. Tom, look, they're sending robots after us. A robot shouldn't be able to hurt a ship this size. Don't bother with them unless they fly straight into a gun. Okay. The yacht's coming back and the freighter's turning. They're going to try and finish us. They've got us bracketed. Astro, give me a blast.
Okay. Hey, Tom, the robot.
What in space was that? Astro, the rockets have stopped. What happened?
I had to shut them off. The gang sent a robot square into the rocket tube. Jammed it there. If I held power, we'd blow up.
Great galaxy, without power, we can't maneuver. We can't even stay in the air. They'll clobber us. Keep firing, Roger. Okay. Astro, come up and help him. We'll have to take the ship in for a crash landing. Roger. Astro, are you all right?
Yeah. I'm okay, Tom.
Me too, I guess. Pretty good landing, Tom. I was lucky to find a clear spot in this jungle, except that they'll be able to spot us here. They have. They're following us down. Oh, blast it. Look at our guns. They're wrecked. We can't fire back.
Well, there's nothing left to fire anyway, Tom.
What?
We're out of ammunition.
Oh, but a couple of warheads. All right. We'll have to get out and hide in the jungle. The ship's heeled over on the main hatch, so we'll use the emergency. Come on, hurry up.
But, Tom, the jungle's hopeless. We'll die there, even if the killers don't come after us.
It's better than this. Go on, Tom. Open the hatch, will you? I can't. It's jammed.
Oh, great. And there's no other way out.
What about the rocket tube?
That's blocked by the robot. Those space crawlers really have us now. We're trapped.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by. Stand by, all spacemen. Stand by, all spacemen. Here's a special teleceiver message for all spacemen from Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
Hi there. A lot of you spacemen have been writing in asking for pictures. Pictures of Dr. Dale, Astro, Roger, and myself. Well, the Kellogg people heard about all this, so just listen to what they did. They put pictures of all of us right on different packages of Kellogg's Pep. And not only that, but the pictures are put on so you can cut them out and stand them up. But these swell picture cutouts are only part of it. The whole Pep package is new. As a matter of fact, all the Kellogg's cereals are dressed up in bright new packages. No fooling. Every single one of them. Wait till you see the big lineup of all your Kellogg favorites at your grocery store. The best tasting cereals. The best looking packages. And every one of them Kellogg's.
That's right, Spaceman. It's K-Day at the grocery store. All the Kellogg cereals have new faces, new pictures, new exciting packages. Why, people are even singing about it.
Did you see what I saw? Kellogg's on display. In brand new boxes, bright and gay. These famous cereals come your way. Go see this eyeful. The Kellogg's All-Star Breakfast Show has a cheerful look, a lift for you. Starts you off with a hoop-de-doo. Kellogg's for breakfast and a happy, happy day. Get a big supply today.
Yes, for a happy day, have a happy breakfast with the best tasting cereal ever, Kellogg's. Trapped in the battered wreckage of their ship after crash landing in the Venusian jungle, Tom, Roger, and Astro are unable to return their enemy's fire. With every exit sealed by the crash, they face certain death as warheads burst all around and the killers come roaring down out of the sky.
This is a great way for us to wind up like rats in a trap. We're not finished yet, Roger.
Oh, there's no way out, Tom. Those dirty space crawlers are going to blow us to space dust.
Maybe not. Come on, this way. Run. Where are we headed for? For the cargo section, where the gold is stored.
What good is that? There's no hatch there.
I know. Here, go on in. Fast. Okay, here we are. So what? Look, through this viewport. The Alpha freighter have almost reached the ground. How could they miss if they really wanted to blow up the ship? Maybe they're just playing games. No, they want to kill us, all right. But not by blowing everything sky high, including the gold. They figure blasts and fragments from the warheads will do it.
Well, they're right.
But here, with the gold, we have a chance. The bags of dust will protect us for a while.
What's the difference? We're still trapped.
But maybe we won't be. The same gold that helps us must be tearing the ship apart. Tearing the... What are you talking about? Well, look how all that weight has shifted. It's bearing down on the bulkhead that's already been weakened by the crash. And now with those warheads blasting all around us, something has to give.
The whole place. Yeah, you're right, Tom. They're buckling. And they've sprung a seam over here. It's only an inch, but...
Brother, that was a bad one.
No, a good one. The seam's wide open. There's our exit.
And on the side, away from the gang. They'll never see it through all the smoke and dust. Okay, let's go. Even that jungle looks good to me now. Go ahead. Hurry. I'll be with you as fast as I can.
Huh? You're not staying here, are you?
Yeah. There's something else to do. But, Tom, the killers are landing. Don't argue. Get it going. Okay, it's your war. Come on, Astro. I'll join you soon. I hope.
Why doesn't Tom come? How long have we been waiting here?
I don't know, Astro. 5 minutes, 10. Seems like hours.
Even the freighters landed now. And neither ship is even bothering to fire anymore.
Well, why should they? They're sure we're dead. But they're sending the robots in first, just in case.
Roger, maybe Tom really is...
Dead? Yeah. Hurt anyway. With those big torches, the robots are cutting through the hull like butter.
They'll be inside the ship in a second. Tom won't have a chance. We have to go after it.
We won't have a chance either, but... Oh, let's go.
Wait, Roger! Astro!
Tom, you're all right. We thought you were
I'll
killed.
explain later. Hit the dirt fast.
What's the matter? They spot you. No. Lie flat and dig yourself in as much as you can.
But what for?
No time to explain. The robots are in the ship now.
What difference does it make?
Hey, what was that?
They can't be firing.
Get your heads down.
Great Jupiter. What happened, Tom?
Take a look. The ship we were in. It's blown up.
Robots and men scattered like toys. Tom, what in the universe did you do?
Tell you later. First, let's make sure those space crawlers are licked. Once and for all. Well, this is one bunch of killers that won't do any killing anymore. Most of them won't even wake up until they're in a prison hospital.
And some won't ever wake up.
Yes, the ones who were too anxious to get at the gold they'd murdered for. Speaking of gold, Tom,
I've heard of men rich enough to throw a little around. But I bet you're the first who ever scattered a whole shipload.
Will you tell us now what you did? Oh, it was simple enough. I just rigged up I guess you'd call it an atomic booby trap.
Booby trap?
Uh-huh. I dismantled the last 2 warheads, fixed them so the robots would set them off when they got to the power deck. That was the first explosion, and it triggered the reactor pile. I pulled out the dampers before I left.
So the whole pile went?
Mm-hmm. Wow, you sure did a job, Tom.
Good, Junior. Couldn't have done better myself.
Why, you couldn't even do half. Forget it, Astro. Come on, let's see if one of those ships can still get off the ground.
I hope so. I'd sure like to get out of here.
Yep. Get this finished up, and then back to Gold Town. You think your uncle will still take us on that fishing trip?
Sure. Just wait till you tie into those Venusian mutation salmon.
Sounds like real sport.
Hey, you're not kidding. Are those salmon...
Something,
Jupiter. How can you two think about anything as dull as fishing at a time like this?
Dull? Why, Roger, there's nothing in the universe more exciting than having a fighting fish at the end of your line. Right, Astro?
Sure. That's one time you really know you're in a scrap. With a fish, huh? Well, that kind of talk after all this excitement certainly proves what I always said. You guys are crazier than a Martian platypus with 2-headed fleas.
Don't miss the next action-packed adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, on Tuesday, when the crew of the Polaris returns from Venus, only to find themselves threatened with death as they try to solve the riddle of Astro. Tune in, same time, same station on Tuesday for the next thrilling interplanetary adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Brought to you by Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal. Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, starring Frankie Thomas, can also be seen on television and appears in the comic sections of many of America's leading newspapers. Look for it daily and in weekend editions. Featured in today's cast were Jan Merlin and Al Markham. Today's program was written by Don Hughes, directed by Drex Hines. Jackson Begg speaking.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret. Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
And what a secret. In Kellogg's Raisin Bran, the tasty raisins are dipped in honeycomb. That means plumper, more tender raisins, along with delicious golden crisp bran flakes. Both fruit and cereal, all in one box. And no other raisin brand but Kellogg's gives you the tender goodness of raisins dipped in honeycomb. That's Kellogg's secret. So for your breakfast, make sure you get Kellogg's, because
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
This program came to you from New York. America is sold on ABC, the American broadcast.
Isolated on a remote plantation in the crawling Amazon jungle, and an immense army of ravenous ants is closing in on you, swarming in to eat you alive. A deadly black army from which there is no escape.
Escape, produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and carefully contrived to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to the Amazon jungle and to a creeping, crawling terror, as Carl Stevenson told it in his gripping story, Leiningen versus the Ants.
first met Leiningen while performing my duty as district commissioner. As my boat neared his plantation landing, I saw him upon the riverbank, regarding me with mild interest. A great hulk of a man with bristling gray hair, bulky nose, and pale eyes. His entire appearance somehow suggested an aging and shabby eagle. He escorted me to the terrace and had a drink brought. I came quickly to the point of my visit and issued my warning. Leiningen puffed placidly at a huge cigar and listened as I told him, unless they alter their course, and there's no reason why they should, they'll reach your plantation in 2 days at the latest.
Uh-huh. Well, it was decent of you paddling all this way just to give me the tip.
Tip?
Commissioner, even a herd of crocodiles couldn't drive me from this plantation of mine.
But these aren't creatures you can fight. They're an elemental force, a gigantic catastrophe. 10 miles long, 2 miles wide. Ants, nothing but ants. And each one as big as your thumb. And each of them a fiend from hell. Unless you clear out at once, there'll be nothing left of you but a skeleton picked as clean as your own plantation will be.
I'm not getting out.
But you can't fight.
Yes, I can. I've got the best weapon there is, Commissioner. Intelligence.
But can't I make you understand the hideous...
I think it is you who do not understand. In the 3 years I've been here, I've met and defeated more than one catastrophe. Flood, drought, the plague. Events which caused many of my neighbors to flee for their lives. No, Commissioner, all my life I have lived with one creed. The human brain needs only to become fully aware of its powers to conquer even the elements.
Leiningen, your obstinacy is endangering not only your own life, but the lives of your workers and their families. You don't know these ants. I tell you, you don't know these ants. But Leiningen merely sat there, puffing at his cigar and regarding me with a smug grin, and I knew it was hopeless. As I boarded my launch and cast off, I realized I'd never met a man like that. And I could not help wondering
about the strange look in the commissioner's eyes as he boarded his launch and cast off. Undoubtedly, he thought me insane. Well, he would not have been the first to think so. But I, Leiningen, knew my own powers. I was sure of myself. I knew that intelligence, directed aright, always makes man the master of his fate. That night, I called my Indian workers together in front of the plantation house. I saw their faces go ashen with terror as I told them that the ants were coming. Watched them as they milled around, muttering. I said nothing more to them. Finally, one of the men stepped forward. Blas, the foreman.
Patron, we have worked hard here for these 3 years. All of us. We have built the finest plantation in this district. We all share in it. It has been a home for all of us and our families. Now the ants come.
So?
Those ditches we dug last year, the pipe we put in the ground, that was for the ants?
Yes, that was for the ants.
If we moved our families across the river, the ants could not reach them?
Yes, that's right. And you?
The ants are mighty. We know what they can do. All of us think that you are mighty. Patron, we will stay with you and fight against the ants.
I knew that the men would give me that answer. I counted on it. I thought of the commissioner and wondered what he would say at such unquestioning confidence. Would he still think I was insane? Or had he dismissed me
out of my mind? One man who calmly evaluated his chances against a deadly menace, coolly decided he could win and was willing to stake his life on it, to risk a horrible death for it. It was terrifying. And yet it was fascinating. The next morning I sent for my assistant. Together we went to the huge map of the district which hung from a wall of my office and checked the last reported position of the ants.
Last night they had reached here, about 70 miles above this fork in the river.
Traveling southeast?
Yes.
Directly toward Leiningen.
Toward whom, sir?
That plantation at the bend in the river belongs to a man named Leiningen. When would you say the ants will reach there?
Oh, I don't know. You mentioned about tomorrow noon.
Tomorrow noon, still time.
Still time? What do you mean, sir?
Why, nothing. But what did I mean? Still time for what? For Leiningen to flee, or still time for me to... Even as I rejected the thought with horror, I knew that the fascination of that man was more than I could resist. That Leiningen's fight was drawing me back toward that plantation and death. I knew now past all doubt that I was going back. I had to. It was 10 o'clock in the morning when I rounded the bend and saw Leiningen's plantation before me. I put in at the dock and tied up the launch. Then I saw him standing on the bank above me, arms folded, stubby cigar in his mouth, and that same smug grin on his face. I made my way up to him.
Back with another warning, Commissioner?
No.
Back to stay a while?
Yes. You don't seem surprised.
No, I'm not.
You expected me?
I thought you'd be back. Come along. We'll get some horses. You'll want to ride around the plantation, take a look at the defenses I've rigged up.
Yes, I'll want to see the defense.
And the ants. We'll be getting a glimpse of them before long, I should think.
Yes, the ants. The defenses Leiningen had devised were quite impressive. Surrounding three sides of the plantation like a huge horseshoe was a ditch, 12 feet wide. The ends of this horseshoe-shaped ditch ran into the river which formed the fourth side of the plantation. And at the upriver entrance to the ditch, Leiningen had constructed a dam by which the river water could be diverted into the ditch. A large hand wheel controlled the floodgate of the dam, and apparently Leiningen had ordered it opened immediately after my arrival. Whereas we now approached the ditch and rode along it, I could see that it was nearly full.
How do you like my first line of defense, Commissioner?
It's reassuring, like a moat around a castle.
Unless the ants know how to build rafts, they won't reach the plantation. But this is only the outer moat. There's a better one than this. Now, come along. We'll go up to the high ground where the buildings are. I can get a view from there.
Leiningen.
Huh?
I didn't see any women or children around the plantation or any animals.
Yes, that's right. Moved them across the river.
Then even you think there is danger.
Not because of danger, Commissioner. Matter of efficiency.
Efficiency?
Yes, cuts down on the efficiency of the men if they're worried about their families. Critical situations only become crises when oxen and women get excited.
I see.
Here we are. See the ditch?
It's much smaller than the others.
Yes, you've noticed how all the buildings are on this piece of high ground. The inner ditch surrounds them, and it's lined with concrete.
But even filled with water, this is no barrier. It's not big enough. Why, if the ants get this far...
They'll get no farther. This ditch wasn't built for water, Commissioner. You see the pipes leading into it? See those storage tanks on the hill? Petrol. We can throw up a wall of flame. Care to bet they won't like that?
I hope you're right. Leiningen, look. Over at the edge of the jungle, all those animals.
Yes. Running like the wind. Everything from jaguars to monkeys.
Good heavens.
Remember, they don't have any ditches.
But can they escape?
Now, they'll be all right as long as they don't get caught between the river and the ants. They can outrun the crawlers. But if they get trapped, it's either the ants or the crocodiles. Look. Up there over the horizon. There are your ants. Look at them.
It was a sight I will never forget. Over the range of hills, as far as I could see, crept a darkening hem, ever longer and broader until the shadows spread across the entire slope, then downward, uncannily swift, and all the green herbage on the entire slope was being mowed as by a giant sickle, leaving only the vast moving shadow extending and deepening, and all was moving nearer.
They're a hideous lot.
Leiningen, we can't last against that. Look at them. Why, they will fill your ditches with their corpses and still have enough to destroy every one of us. We've got to run.
Well, no, they haven't gotten to us yet, and they never will.
The hostile army was approaching in perfect formation. No human battalions, however well drilled, could ever hope to rival the precision of that advance. Along a front that moved forward as uniformly as a straight line, the ants drew nearer and nearer to the water ditch. As they approached, two outlying wings of the army detached themselves from the main body and started marching along the sides of the ditch, no doubt expecting at some point to find a crossing. And during this hour-long flanking movement, the main army remained still. Across the scant 12 feet of ditch, I stared at them, and they stared back at me. Solid mass, every one as big as my thumb, with reddish-black body and long legs. Suddenly, a sound so unearthly as to freeze our blood jerked our heads in the direction of the jungle on the far side of the ditch. Coming toward the ditch at a stumbling gallop was a singular being, a writhing, animal-like blackened statue with a shapeless head and 4 quivering feet. It was a stag, covered over and over with ants. Leiningen threw up his rifle, and the stag fell lifeless to the ground, its agonies at an end. Horrified as I was, my curiosity impelled me to glance at my watch. I had to know how long the ants would take. After 6 long minutes, only the white polished bones of the stag remained. Now I could see a change in Leiningen. Gone was the sporting zest of the novel contest. In its place was a cold, violent purpose. He had to beat the ants because he now knew how long it would take them once they got to us. Around 4 in the afternoon, the ant scouts, having found no crossing, there was a stirring among the main army. And then an immense flood of ants about 100 yards in width commenced pouring in a glimmering black cataract down the flower slope of the ditch. Thousands drowned instantly, but the rest began using the bodies as bridges. Leiningen immediately swung into action.
Push the dam, open the floodgate a little more. We've got to get the water in the ditch moving faster. Look at them drowned in the thousands.
But they keep coming. Even though the current carries many of them away, they're advancing.
Well, we'll fix them. What?
Yes, senor.
How about those shovels and petrol sprinklers? You passed them out to the men?
Yes, it has been done.
Then get all hands here in a hurry. This looks like a spot for action.
Hey.
Commissioner.
Yes?
Beginning to see what I was talking about?
What do you mean?
About intelligence being more than a match for anything it tackles. Take the ants. They've got no intelligence. If they had, they'd have attacked along the whole length of the ditch instead of a narrow front like this. They'd have been across by now. Yeah. Too bad I'm not running their campaign for them.
You can joke about it like that with ants halfway across the
All right,
ditch?
men. Busy with the shovels now. Dump some sand and quads on them. See how they like that. You with the petrol sprinklers. Stop popping. Aha! They don't like it, Commissioner. They don't like it a bit. Look at them.
Yes. But look at the ones on the far side of the ditch. Whole clumps of them rolling into the water. The rest are using them for bridges.
Yes. Smarter than I thought. They're widening their front, too.
Some of them are getting across.
Grab a shovel, then, Commissioner. Make them regret it. What's the matter?
They threw up my shovel, senor. They're on my eyes.
Get the petrol, idiot. Douse your hands in the petrol. Don't stop now, the rest of you. Grab them. Grab them.
We cannot hold it back, senor. We must run.
Keep at it. Keep at it. Don't stop now. Aha! Ah, the water's moving faster.
And now I've got the floodgates open.
Yes, they can't hold their own against the current now. Look at them, Commissioner. The water's carrying them away. We've beat them. We've won out.
It was true. Leiningen had won. At least the opening round. The floodgates were left open to forestall any night crossing. But when dawn came, the dark blanket was still there, motionless across the ditch. Then we noticed a feverish activity on the other side of the plantation. Here, a grove of tamarind trees lined the far end of the ditch, and every tree swarmed with the crawling insects. But instead of eating the leaves, they were merely gnawing through the stems so that a thick green shower fell steadily to the ground. Well, it looks as if it's feeding time for our friends, eh?
Boss.
Senor.
Have all the petrol pumps brought here. Get everyone over here except the lookouts on the other side. Then pass out the shovels.
Si, senor.
Going to deprive them of a meal?
A meal?
Aren't they cutting down the leaves for food?
No. I wish they were. Looks like I underestimated them when I said they didn't have intelligence.
What do you mean?
I said if they wanted to get across, they'd have to have rafts. And that's just what they've got. Those leaves are their rafts.
Even as he spoke, the leaves went tumbling down the far bank by the thousands. The current drew them away from the bank, and each leaf carried several ants.
Don't worry. As long as you can keep spraying them and shoveling dirt on their rafts, they can't land.
But there will be too many.
It's true. Look, more leaves in the ditch all the time. Why, they'll have a solid carpet to walk across in a minute.
Not so fast, Commissioner. I've still got a trick up my sleeve for them.
The water! The ditch is drying up.
Yes, of course it's drying up. That's the plan. Those are the orders I sent to the dam.
Are you mad? As soon as it's empty, what's to prevent the... Look, the water's way down. It's almost dry. They'll be able to come across the bottom.
They'll not make it. The man at the dam will have opened the gates by now.
To flood the ants?
Right.
But what a chance to take. If anything should happen...
Here it comes. Here comes the water. Yes, we'll give the crawlers a ditch to ride in. Right out to the river. Look at them go.
Leiningen's tactics were successful at first. The violent flow of water at the original depth raced through the ditch, overwhelming leaves and ants and sweeping them along. 3 times the ditch was emptied. 3 times the ants raced across its bottom, and 3 times the rushing water, arriving just in time, carried them away. But the 4th time, as the water lowered nearly to the bottom of the ditch, we waited in vain for the rushing waters, and then...
What's the matter? What's gone wrong at the dam?
Just as the man at the dam lowered the water almost to the bottom, the ants attacked. Before he could open the floodgate, he was almost surrounded. He ran. The ants kept coming. They are across the ditch.
Leiningen stood motionless, absorbing the news of his defeat without a word. Then he raised his pistol and fired 3 shots into the air. The prearranged signal for all the men to retreat instantly to the second line of defense. The concrete ditches more than a mile from the point of the invasion. Soon after we arrived there, the natives commenced straggling in silently. Leiningen waited until all of them had gathered. Then he spoke to them.
Well, lads, we won the first round and lost the second. But we'll smash the crawlers yet. Anyone who thinks otherwise can draw his pay and push off. There are rafts enough on the river and plenty of time still to reach them. You stay then. Good. Thank you, lads. And you, Commissioner?
I can't persuade you to give up the fight?
You cannot.
Then I stay, too.
Yeah. I knew you would.
Senor. You are the ants have reached the ditch.
They're trying to get across?
No, senor.
I didn't think they would. There's plenty of food out there for them. My fields and orchards, the work of 3 years. Ought to last them until morning, anyway.
Yes, we were safe for that night. But the next morning, the black swarm was solid around us, and their shock troops were hard at work. They were dropping shreds of bark and twigs and leaves into the petrol-filled ditches, forming a floating bridge across the surface of the liquid. Leiningen stood silently watching this operation, and I could see a grudging admiration in his face. Then, after several hours, the attack came. Down the ditch they poured, millions of them, and across the bridge of twigs, rapidly approaching the inner side. Leiningen sat motionless, watching them. Leiningen, for the love of God, don't sit there like a statue. They'll be on us in a moment.
Let them fill the ditch first. Now. All right? Everyone back? Ross, hand me the torch. Now we'll see how our friends like a little heat.
Flames from the ditch shot into the air, devouring ants by the millions. It was some time before the petrol burned down to the bed of the ditch, but when it did, the devils came back for more. Again, Leiningen fired the ditch to destroy them. And still again they came on, but at each successive firing, the task of the ants grew easier because of the film of ash which now covered the petrol. And as they returned to the assault time after time, a slow, sickening horror crept into my mind. I looked quickly at Leiningen, then at the petrol tanks. He read my gaze and nodded slowly.
That's right, Commissioner. We could hold them off forever if our supply of petrol was unlimited. But it isn't. We've got enough to fill the ditch once more.
Leiningen, isn't there any way at all? We've got to do something.
I know. There must be a way. There must be. Yes.
What is it?
We'll flood the whole plantation.
Flood? But how?
The river's higher than any point except this high ground we're on now. If the river was dammed all the way, it'd overflow that stone breakwater and flood the whole plantation. We've got to close the floodgate at the dam. That'll do it.
You're mad. The dam is more than a mile away, more than a mile away.
Lads, listen to me. Listen, lads. I'm proud of you. Now, there's still a chance. By shutting the floodgates from the dam and flooding the whole plantation from the river. The moment I'm over the ditch, set fire to it. That'll allow time for the flood to wash away the ants. Then all you'll have to do is wait for me.
It's impossible. You can't get to the dam, let alone back.
That's where you're wrong, Commissioner. I'll get there, and I'll get back. Take care of things while I'm gone, huh?
I watched him as he calmly pulled on high leather boots, drew gauntlets over his hand and stuffed the spaces between breeches and boots, gauntlets and arms, with petrol-soaked rags. He shielded his eyes with close-fitting mosquito goggles and plugged his nostrils and ears with cotton. Then the natives drenched his clothes with petrol. Blas, who acted as doctor to the men, smeared a salve over him, and finally Leiningen was ready. And as he stood calmly surveying...
Ready for the run, I realized that this is as it should be. I, Leiningen, would meet the ants and defeat them, or be defeated by them. Leiningen versus the ants. Yes, it was right that it should be like this. But now there was no more time for thought. Only action. I took a deep breath and then bounded across the ditch and among the ants. I ran in long equal strides with one thought, one sensation in my being. I must get through. I dodged the trees and shrubs. Except for the split seconds my soles touched the ground, the ants would have no opportunity to alight on me. I ran on. I was halfway to the dam before I felt ants under my clothes and a few on my face. I struck on them mechanically, scarcely conscious of their bites. And the dam drew toward me slowly. And the distance grew less. Finally, only 100 yards away. 50. Then I was there. I gripped the ant-covered wheel, but hardly had I seized it when a horde of ants flowed over my hands and arms. I strained, and slowly the wheel turned. And turned more. The floodgate was swinging slowly shut. Then it was shut. And the water was rising behind the breakwater. Closer to the top. Closer. And then it was spilling over. Flooding of the plantation had begun. I let go of the wheel and started back through the ants. I was coated from head to foot with the fiends. Tongues of fire stabbed at me as they bit into my flesh. I almost lost my head with the pain as I ran, knocking ants from my body, brushing them from my bloody face. And then one bit me just below the rim of my goggles. I managed to tear him away. But the agony of the bite and its venom drilled into the eye nerves. I saw now through circles of fire into a milky mist. I was almost blinded. But I knew that if I tripped and fell... I ran on, my heart pounding as if it would burst. Blood roaring in my ears, a giant's fist battering my lungs. And then I could see dimly that wall of flame at the ditch, but it was too far away. I could not last half that distance. I stumbled and fell. Felt myself being swarmed over, devoured. Tried to rise. A great weight. And then suddenly the vision of the half-devoured stag in my brain. 6 minutes, then nothing but bones. I couldn't let that happen to me. I couldn't die like that. To my feet. Drag myself forward. Draw the flame. The ditch. The ring of flame. Closer now. Only a little closer.
It's seemed we had waited for hours when all at once through the blazing ring around us an apparition hurtled and fell full length on the ground. It was Leiningen, alive with ants, unconscious, with glazing eyes and lacerated face. We rushed to him, stripped off his clothes, and tore at the ants that covered him. His body seemed almost one open wound. In one place I could see a white bone. Later, as the curtain of flame lowered, I looked out where the blanket of ants had been and saw only a vast expanse of water, covering the entire plantation and working its way to within a few feet of the concrete ditch. The ants were gone, drowned, and Leiningen had won. He lay on his bed, his body swathed from head to foot with bandages, but alive and still in command.
Everything in order?
Everything's in order.
I told you I'd come back. Even if I am a bit streamlined.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight brought you Leiningen versus the Ants by Carl Stevenson, adapted for radio by Robert Reif, with William Conrad as Leiningen and Lou Merrill as the commissioner. Music was conceived and conducted by Cy Feuer. Next week...
You are groping through a dark alleyway in the French Quarter of New Orleans, with terror driving you on. And always before your eyes is the malevolent stare of a voodoo man, striking you with a deadly curse from which you must escape.
Next week, we escape with William Irish's eerie story of a voodoo-haunted band leader, Papa Benjamin. Good night, then, until this same time next week, when we again offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Instant Ralston and regular Ralston, the hot whole wheat cereals in the red and white checkerboard packages present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Cadet Happy is approaching a small fortress in a jungle clearing on Planet X, where Commander Corey is being held captive by Prince Baccarati and Dr. Malengro. Baccarati glances through the gun port.
Fool, the little fool.
What are you talking about, Baccarati?
Coming across the clearing from the jungle. It's a Space Patrol man. You're Cadet.
Happy.
Watch for him, Malengro. I'll take care of the Cadet with this blast gun.
Baccarati, don't.
Look, Corey. See what happens to those who defy the will of Prince Baccarati?
We'll return in just a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, The Revolt of the Space Rats. Commander Corey speaking with a special message for all Space Patrollers. You have only 3 more days to enter the Name the Planet contest. The contest closes December 1st. That means you have only 3 more days to win the gigantic Rocket Clubhouse and $1,500 cash. Only 3 more days to win one of the 750 Schwinn bikes. Yes, this is the contest that gives you 750 chances to win a wonderful Schwinn varsity bicycle. And there's still time to enter and win if you hurry. Just go to your grocer's today for some Instant Ralston. Right on the back of the Instant Ralston package, it tells you how to enter the contest. So don't wait. Don't miss out on winning the Rocket Clubhouse and $1,500. Don't miss out on winning a streamlined Schwinn bicycle or one of the 1,000 other swell prizes. If you get going on the contest right away, today you have every chance to win. But you must act fast. There are only 3 days left. Right now, this morning, take off for your grocer's and get some Instant Ralston. Remember, right on the back of the Instant Ralston package, you'll find the easy contest rules that will help you get your entry in the Name the Planet contest right away. So get Instant Ralston today, and I'll bet you win a prize. And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, the Revolt of the Space Rats.
With Prince Baccarati and Dr. Malengro locked securely in the nap compartment, Commander Corey and Cadet Happy settle back comfortably at the controls of the Terra 5. The giant Planet X grows smaller in the rear view scope as their spaceship approaches the orbit of Pluto on their long journey toward the man-made planet Terra.
Hey, Commander, now that Baccarati's out of the picture, what's going to happen to Planet X? Will it become one of the United Planets?
Well, that's a difficult question, Happy. It's something the Secretary General and the other planetary leaders will have to work out.
Baccarati sure was stupid. I'll bet he's back there in the ads compartment kicking himself for being such a fool.
I doubt it. If I know Baccarati, he and Malengo are busy thinking up ways to escape.
A lot of good that'll do them. In a few hours, we'll have them on Terra under heavy guard. Then it'll be a criminal rehabilitation center for both of them.
Until then, we've got to be on the alert, just in case some of his agents make a desperate attempt to rescue him.
Yeah, but they don't know he's been captured. His men think his ship is sunk in the great sea of the Planet X.
Just the same, I'm taking no chances. Watch those viewscopes, Pat.
Meantime, a few thousand DUs away on the barren, airless third moon of Pluto, a man sits in a sealed shelter and wearily turns the dials of a spaceophone receiver. Nearby, on a bunk, his companion stares at the ceiling with dark, deep-set eyes. With effort, the man on the bunk raises his head.
Turn it off, Pete.
All right, boy, all right. Now, you lie down and relax. Never mind me. Keep covered up.
I'm hotter than inside of Mercury right now, Pete. The fever's burning me up.
Boy, listen. I better go back to that space phone in case Sarkis try to contact us.
He ain't going to contact us, Pete. You know it. Sarkis through with us. Why don't you be smart and blast off on that lunar job?
Leave you alone?
Not your fault. I come down with space fever and can't stand high acceleration. This little lunar ship of ours will take you off this moon. Now get going.
All right. I'll go.
Now you're talking sense.
I'm going to contact a ship that can get you off this moon without shaking you to pieces. A ship with enough power to reach escape velocity real back.
Are you crazy? The only ship that'd bother would be a space patrol cruiser.
Maybe.
You know what'll happen if the space patrol gets a look at this setup. You'll end up in a criminal rehabilitation center.
Maybe I can convince them with just a couple of prospectors.
Why don't you space it then to help us if we're going this far?
So Sark intercepted the message. How long you think we'd last? You just leave this.
Commander, I picked up something in the starboard viewscope. It seems to be coming from the direction of Pluto's third moon, sir. A very small ship. Well, probably lunar class.
Lunar class cruiser PG-791 calling Space Patrol Cruiser emergency.
In sight of us, sir.
Commander Corey aboard Space Patrol battle cruiser Terra 5. Go ahead, Lunar Cruiser.
Commander Corey?
That's right. What's your trouble?
It's not me, Commander. It's my partner. We've got to get him off moon number 3.
Is anything wrong with your ship?
No.
Then why can't you get him off?
Well, not with this crate, I can't. Acceleration would black him out for keeps.
Who is this speaking?
I'm Pete Skiller. Partner Troy Matthews. He's down with a bad case of space fever.
What are you doing on moon number 3?
Prospecting. We got a shelter rigged up in a crate. Commander, old Troy needs your help real bad.
All right, Skiller. Head back to the moon. We'll follow you.
Thanks, Commander. Me and Troy will never forget this.
All right, Skiller. Corey out.
What do you make of it? Think it's on the up and up?
I don't know. At least it's unlikely that Baccarati's gang is behind it. Even if they know we've got Baccarati, there's no way they could have known we'd be on a vector close to Pluto's third moon.
Yeah, they wouldn't have had time to lay a trap.
I hate to take time out with our prisoners aboard, but after all, a human life may be at stake.
Buzz and Happy follow the small ship to the third moon and
carefully scan the terrain as Pete Skiller lands inside a small crater. Skiller, clad in a spacesuit, waits for them beside the airlock leading to the shelter. Donning their own spacesuits, Buzz and Happy land near the lunar cruiser. A few moments later, they're inside the airlock talking to Skiller.
My partner's in pretty bad shape, Commander.
How long has he been here?
About 10 days.
10 days? You mean this is the first attempt he's made to get help? Why didn't you space phone Pluto Space Patrol?
Well, Troy's awful stubborn, Commander, awful stubborn. Here, he's right in here.
You lead the way, Skiller. Keep an eye on him.
Yes, sir. Well, those Troy's asleep. Hey, partner, wake up. We got company.
Now, hold it, Skiller. He does look bad.
I'll see. Up and stuff him into a spacesuit, we can carry him out to your ship.
Just a minute. We won't go stuffing a sick man into a spacesuit. Got to be very careful about moving him.
Sure. Anything you say, Commander.
Frankly, I'd hate to be responsible for what might happen to a man in his condition. Moving him now might be fatal.
Well, we've got to get him to a doctor.
It might be wiser to bring a doctor here. I've seen enough cases of space fever to know when it's dangerous to move a sick man.
Commander.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe this isn't such a good idea, but... Well, I was thinking about someone on our ship.
Langro?
Yes, sir. I know he isn't a licensed space doctor, but he knows a lot about it.
It's invaluable to Baccarati along that line.
Question is, could we trust him?
For right now, both Malengro and Baccarati might jump at a chance to do something decent, just for the sake of the record.
Yeah, since there's no chance to escape.
You stay here, Hap. I'll go back to the ship and get Malengro. In an aft compartment of the Terra 5, Prince Baccarati and Dr. Malengro speculate on why their long flight to Terra has been interrupted.
What is Corey up to? Where have we landed?
Perhaps he's decided to take us to Pluto instead of flying straight through to Terra.
If this were Pluto, we'd be out of the ship by now.
Perhaps, Your Highness, Corey landed for minor repairs. At any rate, every moment of delay increases our chances for escape. Your Highness, someone's at the door. Commander Corey.
All right, Malengro, you can come out.
Well, Corey, it's about time you were putting me in a more comfortable quarters.
Not you, Baccarati. I just want Malengro.
I demand to know where we are.
Keep quiet. Malengro, do you know how to treat a case of space fever?
Ah, Cadet Happy. Safe.
Malengro, come out here in the corridor so we can talk. Come on.
Don't leave me, Malengro. Corey has no right to...
I asked you a question, Malengro. Can you treat space fever?
I will match my skill as a space physician with any doctor in the solar system.
Now's your chance to do something decent for a change. There's a man here on Pluto's third moon with a bad case of space fever. He's got to be moved in this ship.
Excuse me, did you say Pluto's third moon?
That's right. The man's a space prospector. So his partner says. If we can get him off here, we may be able to save his life. You could use a good deed on your record, Malengro. How about it?
Very well, Commander. If you will give me a medical kit, I will see what I can do.
All right, get into a spacesuit. A few moments later, Buzz escorts Dr. Malengro through the airlock into the shelter on the third moon.
Do everything you can. Old Troy and I have been pals for 20 years.
All right, Skiller. Let's let the doctor alone. Happy?
Yes, sir.
Go with Malengro. Keep an eye on him and help him if he needs a hand.
All right, Commander.
Skiller, you stay here with me.
Oh, but my pardon, can't I?
There's nothing we can do. Besides, I want to ask you some questions.
Come on, Malengro, in here.
So you're prospecting?
Yep. Can't say we're rich, but we've had a lot of fun.
This is a fancy layout here, Skiller. Lots of expensive equipment.
Oh, well, you collect a few odds and ends if you're in this racket long enough.
You seem to have collected everything but prospecting equipment.
What's that?
You don't have any testing instruments or digging tools or ore samples. Just what are you here for, Skiller?
Well, Commander, I was afraid you'd get around to that. Since you've been so good about helping old Troy in there, I'll tell you. Troy and me have had a run of tough luck lately, so we tied up with Dan Osaka.
Dan Osaka? He's the biggest crook on Pluto.
I know it.
How do you fit in with him?
Well, Troy and me have been the sort of go-between. Osaka's gang robs the spaceship, turns loose over to us. We hide it here on the third moon till he sends somebody after.
So that's how he operates.
I wouldn't tell you this if Osaka hadn't let old Troy down and him pick the way he is. I'm good and bad. I'm going to tell you something maybe you don't know, Commander. Sarko's big, but he's not the top one. Sarko's taking orders from somebody else. Who, I don't know.
In the next room, Dr. Malengro examines the unconscious man. As Happy watches carefully, ray gun drawn. Malengro opens the medical kit and, with the sure movement of a professional, prepares the patient for emergency treatment. Then he selects an electro-injector from the kit
and opens the patient's throat.
I'm going to need help, Cadet. What do you want me to do?
I'm going to administer something to make them immune to acceleration effects. Sometimes there's an involuntary reaction to the electroneedle. Will you hold the patient, please?
You mean hold his wrist?
Yes. Hold him very tightly, and must remain absolutely motionless for 5 seconds.
All right. I've got him.
Steady now. This is a very delicate process. Oh, the injector slipped. Got you in the hand. What a pity. You can't even speak, let alone move. Now, I'll just take your ray gun. It will be some time before you're able to use it. Thank you. Now to take care of.
Oh, Mr. Commander, that's all I know about Sarka. How about your partner?
He might know a little more, Commander, but we've been pretty close, Troy and me. I don't think he knows who Sarka's working for either.
Don't move, Commander.
Malengo!
Hey, what's going on here?
Help me get Corey into the ship.
You crazy? He's the commander.
Do as I say. I'll explain to you about Sarka. You'll dispose of the cadet when he comes to take you and your partner off the moon. Mr. Corey. He's going back to Planet X.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment. You have 1,750 chances to win a prize in the Name the Planet contest. That's right, Space Patrollers. If you act fast, if you act within the next 3 days, you may still win one of the 1,750 prizes in this amazing contest. But this is your last chance. You have only 3 more days to win the gigantic Rocket Clubhouse and $1,500. Only 3 more days to win one of the 750 Schwinn varsity bicycles. Only 3 more days to win one of the 1,000 other prizes. 1,000 pieces of real Space Patrol equipment. 250 powerful autosonic rifles, 250 Husky outer space helmets, 250 official Space Patrol emergency kits, and 250 handsome stainless steel Space Patrol wristwatches. But there's no time to waste. Only 3 days left. So go to your grocers today and get a package of Instant Ralston, the new package with the picture of Commander Corey on the front. Now, on the back of the Instant Ralston package, you'll find the easy rules that'll tell you how you can win one of the 1,750 sensational prizes in the Name the Planet contest. So get some Instant Ralston at your grocers right away, today. And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, The Revolt of the Space Rats. While holding Prince Baccarati and Dr. Malengo and their ship as captives, Buzz and Happy responded to a distress call from a lunar cruiser that led them to Pluto's third moon. There, Pete Skiller, a self-styled prospector, led them to his partner who was suffering from space fever. Knowing the man's condition to be serious, Buzz brought Dr. Malengo in to treat him, leaving Happy to watch the wily doctor. Malengo used an instrument from the medical kit to paralyze Happy, and then, taking Happy's ray gun, Malengo rushed to the airlock of the prospector's shelter and overpowered Buzz, forcing Pete Skiller to carry Buzz to his ship. Now, Buzz regains consciousness in the control compartment of the Terra 5, with Baccarati standing over him with a ray gun.
Our position is reversed now, Commander. You are the prisoner.
Where's Cadet Happy?
Why, back on moon number 3, Commander. But don't worry. He'll be well taken care of.
But it wasn't that. Pete Skiller's working for you.
Pete Skiller? Oh, that old space man. Yes, he's working for me. But he didn't know it until an hour ago. It was purely by accident that you landed on that moon.
And Daniel Sarka is one of your men.
Yes, Commander. A very valuable cog in my machine. If you had succeeded in getting me to Terra for a brainograph test, you would have learned something very interesting.
But you're going to tell it to me anyway, I suppose.
Yes, because you can't do anything about it. Sarka is about to destroy Pluto City. The scheduled time is, let's see, just 36 hours from now.
Destroy Pluto City? Well, why? What good will that do you?
It will wipe out the nearest Space Patrol base to Planet X.
You'd wipe out an entire city just to destroy a few Space Patrol ships?
Of course. It is more economical that way, and less risk for Sarka. He can drop a cosmic bomb from a spaceship after his men are safely out of the city.
What about Happy? What are you going to do with him?
I haven't given it a thought, Commander. I suggest you worry about what is going to happen to you when I get you back to my castle on Planet X.
The
In the shelter on Pluto's third moon, Happy is recovering from the paralyzing effects of the electro-needle injection as Pete Skiller hovers anxiously over his unconscious partner, Troy Matthews.
Troy. Speak to me. Troy, can you hear me?
Skiller, listen to me.
He's barely breathing. Cadet, can't you do something?
Look, Skiller, I know you want to help your partner. Why not?
Well, Sarka will hear. He'll have his men blast us before help could get here.
So you're working for John O'Sarka, huh?
Yes. First, I thought it was just plain space pirates. Now I know it's something bigger. I wish me and Troy had stayed clear of it.
Something bigger? What do you mean?
There's somebody above Sarka. The doctor was here. He has something to do with it.
Leiningen. That means Prince Baccarati.
Yes, this is Dr. Leiningen. He said he'd have Sarka come here for me and Troy. Think he will?
Think he will. I'm afraid he will.
What do you mean, sir?
If Sarka shows up, well, he'll see to it that none of us get off this moon alive.
What are we going to do?
Get in your lunar ship and blast off.
What about old Troy? We can't leave old Troy.
Malengro's taking Commander Corey back to Planet X. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what he says.
Well, if he succeeds, there are more lives than Troy's at stake. If we rescue the commander, we can save Troy, too.
All right. Tell me how.
Well, we can't hope to overtake the commander's ship in your little lunar job. If we could only... Hey, what's that stuff over there, stacked in the corner?
I don't know. Troy and me lugged it in. Sarka's gang took it off the cargo ship. Some sort of electronic equipment, I guess.
Yeah, it's spaceophone neutralizing equipment. Huh? Frequency dampers. It blocks out spaceophone signals.
Reckon that won't do us any good.
Wait a minute. Baccarati's robot patrol ships.
What about it?
Well, those unmanned ships Baccarati has circling Planet X. If the ship approaches, they send out warnings to his castle.
That's so?
Yeah, but with one of these neutralizers, we could block out the warning.
Son, you aren't thinking of sneaking up to Baccarati's castle in that little lunar ship of mine? Oh, you ain't got power enough to make a slow landing on a big planet like Planet X. We'd be smashed to bits.
Well, wait a minute. We could take over one of those robot ships. That could land on Planet X and maybe overtake Baccarati.
Well, maybe you got something, son. Yeah, but what about old Troy?
Well, we'll have to leave him here, Skiller, but, well, it's his only chance. And ours.
All right. Hold on, partner. We'll be right back.
With Happy at the controls, the small lunar ship speeds toward Planet X. As they near the defense perimeter, Happy cuts on the spaceophone damper to blot out warning signals from the robot patrol ships. A few moments later, a robot ship appears on the viewscope, and Happy changes vector. The sensitive detecting devices on the robot pick up the lunar ship, and the spaceophone faithfully transmits data to the receptors on Planet X. But the signals are neutralized. And skillfully, Happy joins airlocks with the robot ship, and he and Pete Skiller go aboard.
Great whooping comet. What a ship. Not a soul aboard.
That's right, Skiller. Circle Planet X on automatic pilot.
You run it by hand?
Sure, it's just as simple as your ship. All you have to do is kick this lever up to the pilot control position. There. Now we're on manual. This section of the panel has all the controls we need. Look familiar?
It sure does. Like my own ship, almost.
Right. Now we'll just cut your lunar cruiser loose and head for Planet X.
Sorry, Cadet. I got other plans.
What do you mean? Hey, where'd you get that gun?
Out of my ship. Now, let's not have any trouble, son. Just step back out of the way.
Skiller, what are you going to do? I thought we were going to...
I'm going back and pick up old Troy. This ship can land on Planet X and can blast off of Pluto's third moon without hurting my partner.
Now, Skiller, I thought we agreed to rescue Commander Corey first.
Sorry, son. I reckon I just ain't that big. 20 years it's been me and old Troy. But he fought for us, so we just didn't get in the habit of fighting for anybody else. Now, you just step down away from those controls.
Well, okay, Skiller. I'll step down. Now get this, Skiller. I'm heading for Planet X. With this robot ship, maybe we can overtake Baccarati and trick him into thinking his castle is surrounded. I can do it by myself if I have to, but I'll leave it up to you. Whose side are you on?
Me? Why, son, there ain't no question about it. I'm on our side.
With Prince Baccarati at the controls, the Terra 5 flashes across the darkness of space toward Planet X. Enjoying the turn of events, Baccarati keeps Buzz in the control compartment under the watchful eye of Dr. Malengro and his ray gun.
In a few minutes, we will be safely inside my castle, Commander. I will see that you are with me when the report comes in on the destruction of Pluto City.
Baccarati, listen. You've got to stop that plan. Pull off, Sarka.
Call him up? Why should I?
Wait, listen. It's a signal from a robot ship.
What is it, Malengro?
It's a warning. No.
Malengro, what is it?
It's a signal from robot patrol ship X-34, Your Highness. Enemy ships are approaching Planet X.
Space Patrol. Where are they? Wait.
If you please. Excellency, some of them have landed and near your castle.
What?
Your castle's surrounded.
Keep Corey covered. I'll fool the Space Patrol yet. I'll land on Planet X.
Your Highness, you can't.
Not near the castle, you fool. It's emergency blockhouse number 5. Hundreds of miles out of the castle.
Near the jungle?
Yes. If the Space Patrol ships are grounded, they'll never be able to locate us. Keep tuned to that robot ship.
Yes, Your Highness.
Feverishly, Cadet Happy works the code-sending apparatus of the robot ship, while Pete Skiller follows the Terra 5 toward Planet X.
Cadet, I think they're going to land. Good. I'll cut out the code signal. Cadet, take a look at that Deuce scope. We've landed the commander's ship. That means Baccarati will probably be leaving the ship.
Yeah. Then what do we do?
We'll set this robot ship down in the jungle and then work toward the commander's ship.
Well, what if they see this ship?
Well, it's one of Baccarati's own ships, so maybe they won't. Well, maybe it won't alarm them. Anyway, it's a chance we've got to take.
While Malengo holds Buzz at gunpoint, Prince Baccarati sets the Space Patrol battlecruiser down in the jungle near a domed structure of concrete. Then the Prince and Malengo force Buzz out of the ship and into the squat fortress.
There, Commander. You'll be safe here from your own men. Watch him, Malengo.
Yes, Your Highness. This isn't going to get you anywhere, Baccarati. If Space Patrol ships are surrounding your castle, they'll have seen my ship land here in the jungle.
Oh, I'm not worried, Commander. Not worried at all. I intend to make myself comfortable here for a few hours until I hear from Farka that Pluto City has been destroyed. Keep the Commander covered.
Your Highness, wake up. Prince Baccarati, wake up.
Your
Highness, look through the gun port. Someone's approaching.
What?
Force the clearing from the jungle.
It's a Space Patrol. The Cadet. Watch Corey, Malengo. I'll take care of the Cadet with this blast gun.
Baccarati, don't.
Watch this, Corey. See what happens to those who defy the will of Prince Baccarati. That was close. Now I'll finish him.
Your Highness, look out!
Malengo! You're right, gun.
Hold him, Your Highness.
Got him. Shoot, shoot.
Yes, Excellency. Give me that.
Oh. He's got the gun. Got the light. Got the light.
I got it. Run, Your Highness. Run for the door.
Commander.
Just a minute, Hap. Commander, you all right?
Yeah.
Baccarati and Malengo got away.
Where'd they go?
That door in the back. They cut off the lights and made for that door.
Let's blast it open. We'll get him.
Hold it, Happy. Let him go.
Huh?
Right now, there's something more important than catching Baccarati. What do you mean, sir?
Commander, I saw him.
Killer.
You better hurry. They headed into the jungle. I'll show you. They just popped out of a hole in the ground and dashed into the trees.
Well, then we don't have to break the door down. They came out of that passage. If we hurry...
Hold it, Happy.
We're going back to the ship. And let Baccarati get away? We can't spare the time, Happy. If we blast off now, we can save Pluto City. Pluto City? Yes. I've picked up enough from Baccarati to round up Sarka and his gang before the city's destroyed. But we'll have to hurry.
Sarka, I'm with you, Commander. I'll help you and so will good old Coy. That is, if you'll take him off that moon.
I certainly will. I'm very anxious to talk to good old Coy.
I admit we did wrong, Commander, but I'll help you round up Sarka. And that's the honest truth.
All right, Skiller. Let's get going. Come on, Hap. Yes, sir. But I sure hate to give up hunting for Baccarati. Hey, look, the rockets, what was that? Something in the jungle, Hap. Taking up where we left off. Left off what, sir? Hunting for Baccarati. Come on, let's go.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment.
Space Patrollers, this is Commander Corey. Today is positively the last time I'll be able to tell you about the Name the Planet contest. You have only 3 days left to win the huge rocket clubhouse and $1,500, or a Schwinn bike, or one of the 1,000 other fine prizes. You must get your entry in the contest in the next 3 days. So today, right now, go to your grocer's and get some instant Ralston. Look for the package with my picture in the front. And don't forget, the easy rules for entering the contest are right on the back of the instant Ralston package. So act fast, act now, and win one of the terrific prizes. You've still got every chance to win if you get instant Ralston now.
And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy have cornered Prince Baccarati in a spaceship on the surface of Planet X. Holding a half-conscious man before him as a shield, Baccarati works his way toward the controls.
All right, Baccarati. Let's go over the professor.
Don't come any nearer, Corey.
You're all through, Baccarati. Get away from those controls. It won't do you any good to try to blast off now.
It's the spaceophone I'm interested in. There. Now stay where you are, Corey. The transmitter is turned to a frequency that will set off a crocodile bomb. One more step and I'll destroy Terra.
Be sure to join us next week for the thrilling story, Baccaratti's Secret Weapon, when Instant Ralston and Regular Ralston again present Space Patrol! Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Mike Devery. Other players were Baylor Kovach, Norman Jolly, and Ken Mayer. Dick Tufeld speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when Instant Ralston and Regular Ralston again present Space Patrol!
This is Dick Tufeld in Los Angeles reporting on the first airplane with swept-back wings used in the U.S. Air Force, North American's F-86 Sabre jet fighter. In a moment, we'll hear from George Welch, the famous test pilot of the Sabre jet. The Sabre is 37 feet long, weight 8 tons. Wings are swept back at a 35-degree angle. Top speed more than 650 miles per hour. Now, George Welch, recorded at Edwards Air Force Base.
I was lucky enough to fly the F-86 Sabre jet for the first time. First time up or the 50th, every flight is important. That's why I have to keep in top shape. I like to eat good food with lots of energy in it. Rice Chex and Wheat Chex meet that test, and they taste exactly right. I think you'll like them, too.
No other cereal, puff or flakes, contains so much nourishment in such concentrated bite-sized form. So take a tip from George Welch, Joe Lynch, and other top test pilots. Make your cereals Rice Chex and Wheat Chex. All you Space Patrollers know that fire can cause a lot of trouble, so be careful with matches. Be careful when you're around the stove. Protect your home from fire. Be sure to see another exciting Space Patrol program on your local ABC television station. Consult your local paper for time and channel. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.